Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys all for joining us. Like I said before, I want to show multiple sides of different people. I have some incredible guests lined up in the next couple weeks. And one of the things I want to show is if somebody's famous for something, I want to show the rest of what that person is capable of. For instance, I know some models have graduate degrees and they're practicing attorneys, different things like that. Our guest today is very multi-talented. I just found out that she's a singer. There's a bunch of stuff that I didn't know about her, and she's also very, very funny, along with being fantastically beautiful. This is Miss Amanda Paris. How you doing today, Amanda?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited. So we've hung out several times. We've hung out on several red carpets. That's actually where I met you at a charity event on the red carpet.
Yeah.
The first time we talked. Sometimes I can tell when some people are, it's harder to talk to. You are not. You are a very loquacious individual.
Thanks. Word of the day, loquacious.
Loquacious is a very great individual. You have a YouTube series. Could you describe your YouTube series?
My YouTube series or my YouTube channel?
Your YouTube channel.
Things on YouTube.
Yeah. So there's the haul and then there's actual series.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that has gone viral, especially recently over the past month for me on YouTube, has been my fashion hauls. So I do fashion, fitness wear, lingerie, swimsuits. I'm sure you guys can guess which ones have done really well.
So this is why I'm fascinated by that. So last week I had Claudia Fajal. She appeared on here and she does the same thing. Mm-hmm. And what I found was when she did a Fashion Nova fashion haul, it was dudes watching.
Yeah, I get a lot of men on there.
That always was interesting to me, is that it's mostly men watching you try on women's clothes.
I mean, we know what guys are looking at. I've responded. I've spent a lot of time responding to comments, especially recently, because I've fallen behind on those. I had one guy, he's like, oh, you responded to my comment yesterday from 8 months ago. I'm like, yeah, when you're doing everything yourself and you're doing so many different types of content, I get spread a little thin. So trying to stay on top of responding to all my comments. I do manage all my stuff myself. So
that's awesome.
It's a lot for one person.
So on your YouTube, you have, besides the fashion hauls, I see you do photo shoots, different stuff like that. I saw you do a couple of videos with Lenny Marie.
I did. That's my bestie. Love her.
Yes.
So we do a lot of stuff together. We travel together and we're really good friends. So I vlog as well. So I've vlogged, we went and shot some guns. We do a ton of photo shoots together. We travel together. So we went to Costa Rica together. So she's in a lot of my content.
She's awesome.
I love her.
Not only is she awesome, she doesn't even look real. She's so statuesque. She's perfect. Yeah,
she's
pretty
literally
much
perfect. She's my little Polly Pocket.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we had her on here. They did Coffee and Cleavage here a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I saw.
And so our episode's coming out October 6th, the one that I did with them, and they asked some really, really great questions. I didn't realize OnlyFans TV was that big, and they had so many followers on there.
Yeah, they've done really well. I'm like, I should do OnlyFans TV.
Yeah. So I'm
already doing so many things. It's hard.
So I'm going to skip around because one of my best friends is CJ Sparks, and CJ's coming here tomorrow. And she had a question for you. She had a question
for me?
She had a question for you, yes.
Ooh.
And the question was, with OnlyFans, there's always this temptation to go further and to reveal more. And how do you deal with that temptation? And let me just, for the audience, maybe people don't know, the amount of money, initially, let's just say you do, let's say Kylie Myers or Caitlin Runk, they don't do nudes and they make a ton of money. The first time they do nudes, they will make a fucking fuck ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if you go further from there, then every time it goes up, but then you have to stay at that level forever.
Yes.
You can never go from guy girl porn backwards, right?
That's what I was going to say. Once you cross that line, you are now on that line. If I sell somebody nudes, why now are they going to buy content of me in a thong or something else? They're like, oh no, I want, now the bar is here. I want that. So, that was going to be one of my question for you when you were saying, where's the temptation? Or my question back to CJ is, do you mean temptation for me as a content creator on there in making more money, or pressure from the fans, the subscribers? Because these guys, I love y'all out there who support me. Thank you so much. But, some of them on there are like more. And I know where my line is and what I'm comfortable with, and I'm strong and set in that. Sure, especially during COVID and when there's no work around, there's, temptation to be like, well, yeah, I could make a shit ton of money if I did this, but I still want to do other things.
Of course.
Like, you know what? One of the things I've thought a lot about over this past year is how much money is enough.
Right.
How much is enough?
To keep you happy, to make you happy.
Right. I've made a shit ton of money doing what I do. And there has been moments where I've been so stressed out and so unhappy because just all the pressure that came with that and the pressure I put on myself too, to where I definitely now understand when they're like, money can't buy happiness. It does give you options. I do enjoy having it, but how much is enough? How much work is enough? You know what I mean? If you're just constantly like cracking the whip on yourself and just driving yourself so hard and you constantly want to make more and more and more, I felt like it was turning me into somebody that I was just really stressed out and unhappy, and I wasn't even getting to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So I've really worked on finding the balance with that, because I'm like, yeah, that's great. I can make all this, but if I'm just sitting here freaking ripping my hair out and stressed out, like what's the fun in that?
What would be the part that makes you stressed out? Just like giving more of yourself, but you asked before about the money and the fans putting this pressure on you. Which would affect you more?
It's not really the fans, because honestly, the guys that do say stuff, that are like, oh, I want to see this or I want to see your tits. I'm like, well, hon, I don't do that sort of content. Right. And I feel very confident in knowing what I create's hot. There's definitely my fans that like it and appreciate it. So I'm like, hey, you know what? There's plenty of girls out there doing this type of content. I understand you really want it from me, but that's just not what you're going to get, And I'm comfortable with setting that, for myself. What was I going to say?
No, I mean, I think it's terrific. Like, you set a line, but there always is that pressure. And one of the things we talk about on the show a lot is psychology. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when there's a negative feedback loop or a moral hazard that's created, where I know a girl, like I said before, on a previous podcast, she wanted to buy a house. So she filmed with her boyfriend and she made $125,000.
Oh,
and she
like I said, yeah.
And she bought the house.
It's tempting to be like, man, I know the demand. And it's like, you could make a lot of money. Yeah. It would just be done, like, if you're smart with it, and what do you do with it? But I don't know. How much is enough? I'm like, I'm happy. I'm doing this. I still get to do all these other things. Like, do I really want to do that right now? I'm like, well,
of course. Right.
I don't need to.
There's a great book about this. It's called The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt. And they talk about...
I love reading.
Yes. So he also wrote a great book called The Coddling of the American Mind, which I would recommend. And in the book, he talks about there is a level of stress, financial stress, that comes in relationships and people in general, up to about $74,000 a year. At that point, every additional dollar does not necessarily make you happier. Because at that point, if you make 70, and by the way, this book came out 5 years ago, maybe that number's 85,000 now. But the thing is, at 85,000, and I know for a lot of people who are very wealthy, live in Los Angeles, live in Bel Air, they're like, I could never live on $85,000 a year. But the reality of the situation is, if you live in Des Moines, you make 85,000, you can pay a mortgage, you can have a car, you probably have 2 cars.
There's things I think about too. I'm like, with the money I make, do I really need to be in LA? I could be anywhere.
You could be in a state
bigger house somewhere.
You could be in a state with no state income tax. Wink, wink. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
I'm working on a move to Vegas.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to have you. We're excited that you're going to start the Amanda Paris podcast here at Sticky Paws Studios.
Yeah.
We're very excited for that.
I've actually always wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted you to do a podcast too, because I think you're really interesting.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think I'm interesting too.
Yeah.
I would listen to my podcast. I have stories.
You do have stories. So can we talk about some of the stories, some of the crazy things that you've seen? You and I, it's funny because I just literally was on the phone with Bilzerian a couple minutes ago, and you and I went to, the first time I went to an Ignite party, I went with you. Like literally you and I were together walking into that fucking madness.
Yes.
Can you describe that whole night?
Oh, unfiltered?
Yeah.
Man, that was an interesting night. So we took a bus there, or shuttle.
Yeah.
Fancy bus. And they had to have us dropped off, but then they were like, you can't be dropped off here. Something, I don't know. It was a mess. I was just like, what did I get myself into? Because I don't usually go to a lot of things like that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I think it was Angels and something?
Yeah. So we went, you and I would have gone the first time.
Valentine's
It was Valentine's 2020.
My point in bringing that up is because a lot of girls were basically half naked. They were like, they were in like lingerie. I was wearing pants, thank God, and like this like lacy, like long sleeve bodysuit. My point in bringing that up is because it was raining, and they made us stand outside in this little tent.
That was,
and we were all like hovering, and I was watching all these girls like freezing their ass off. And I was like, oh, thank God. I mean, I was cold. Don't get me wrong. I was freezing my ass off too, but I was really glad I had more clothes on.
Do you remember the shotguns? All the pistols?
Yes.
Like they were armed to the teeth. The guys were there. I always, if I ever get Dan on here, I'm going to ask him, I'm going to be like, hey, were those shotguns loaded? Because I've always wanted to know, man. That dude, there were so many guys with pistols and shotguns that were guarding the place.
Intense,
it was because, like, you know, he'd mentioned before is like there were so many guys whose girlfriends were at that party, and those guys weren't allowed to come. He talked about how many friends he lost.
I have a funny story about that. So I've had my share of toxic, unhealthy relationships, and my boyfriend at the time was very unhappy that I was.
I remember this.
Oh my God. Yeah, you saw me. It's a whole other.
It was at the end of the night and you came up to me and talked to me about this. I remember this.
Yeah, but he was just lost his mind that I was there. I'm like, for one, I have more clothes on than most girls here. Like, don't you, like, it's just, again, like I said, toxic, unhealthy relationship. But yeah, guys were, I'm like, I love what you said though. I remember you were like, the guys are pissed their girlfriends here. They just mad. They can't fucking get in.
So I posted on IG right before we went to the party. I was like, ladies, your boyfriend's telling you to not go to Dan Bilzerian's party because he's trying to get into
right. He's trying to get in. He don't want you to run into him there.
He doesn't want you to run into him. And that's exactly what happened. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, just the walk in, man, how crazy those things were.
It was crazy. That was the only one I went to, but I was not happy about having to wait outside in the rain.
That was
I was like, I don't do this.
Yeah.
This is not my vibe. And I remember walking in and I got hit in the face with rain, like right in my eye, eye makeup. And they're like, do you want to take a picture on the red carpet? I'm like, no. I was in a real bad mood. Okay. And then of course getting the boyfriend text like, you're at Dan Bilzerian's house, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you have to understand, right?
Wasn't it Cardi B was
you and I were watching Cardi B, and this was
I'm a huge Cardi B fan. Even when she performed with Fashion Nova, I went by myself. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch her. I love her.
But how crazy was it that you and I are watching Cardi B in a living room that probably couldn't hold 400 people? Not even. I don't even think there were 200. It was like you and me are standing 6 feet away from Cardi B and Sway Lee performing at this house. Like I was living in an Instagram post. I could not fucking believe what I was seeing.
It was so dope. But the other thing that was annoying was it was men that were like shoving. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
in the way you're like shoving us with their camera. I'm like, can you?
So there were a lot of cannabis people that came to this thing, and a lot of them tend to wear hoodies, and you know there were some big dudes that came there. I do remember that they were kind of pushing their way to the front. But I just remember like looking to my left and seeing Diplo drinking a beer with a cowboy hat on. And then Cardi B walking right in front of me. And then Dan walks in front of me with no shirt on. And he comes, shakes my hand. And there's like 17 girls following him to the little VIP area right next to the stage.
Oh my God, I remember the one girl I don't remember. We're not going to name names, but I remember she was like, let me off this bus. Like, I know Dan personally. Like,
I absolutely remember that. And here's the funny part.
She wasn't. Like, that's so cute that you got all these girls. Like, he doesn't have 30 other girls or more here saying the same thing.
Oh my God, I remember this. She got off that fucking bus and she's texting Dan back and forth. And I'm like, dude, like he would have to come out and like get her. It was, oh my God, that whole thing was crazy.
Yeah.
I remember
it was comical.
You remember the guy screaming at us outside? The bald-headed guy who was just screaming at us to get off the street?
Yeah, it was intense. It was very intense.
Yeah.
So I would be curious what Dan has to say about the intensity of why.
Oh, it's in the book.
At people.
It's in the book. He and one of the things I loved about the book is he said there were a lot. I did not invite any Hollywood agents, right? The normal Hollywood crowd, and no sugar daddies, right? And so because of that, he said he lost a lot of friends because they weren't allowed to come to the party. And I just thought that was really interesting that because he's like, I had to keep the ratio 7-1. That's what he said. He wanted to keep the ratio 7-1. And I was like, man, I think that's really honest. He said he's talked about it before where it was like one of these situations where he would lose friends because he's like, I couldn't get all of these guys into my party, and how stressful it was for him to do the party. He said the first one he did, the one before the one we went to, the one where Marshmallow was there, I think, he had passed out. He doesn't remember a bunch of the stuff that happened in the party. He like woke up the next day and he vomited it on himself.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I cannot, because you and I have been to the Playboy Mansion too.
Yeah.
And this is not like the Playboy.
No, I've never been there.
You've never been to the Playboy
I was like, yeah, no, never been.
Really? Okay. All right. Well,
I'm like, nope.
I'm gonna see if I can work that one out. Maybe we can make that happen.
Is that still a thing?
So it's going to be a kind of a different thing where that I believe the guy who bought the house is going to remodel it, and maybe it'll be like a historical landmark. It will not be called the Playboy Mansion anymore. I know some people that are attempting to try to throw events there. I would love if they did. But like, for instance, Crystal Hefner, she's going to do events on her own, but they're not going to be Playboy events. They're going to be Hefner events. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Right. Hugh Hefner, before he died, he created a foundation that supports the First Amendment. And so Crystal also supports that. And so when they throw events, they're going to be charity events. Cooper also, Hugh Hefner's son, will be involved. But those things are not official Playboy events.
Gotcha.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? But I still want to do the grotto. I mean, the place is historical.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never been.
Yeah.
So.
It's a pretty, again, same thing. You walk in there and you feel like you're living in an episode of Entourage. It really, you just like, it's just sensory overload. And it's just one of these things. I will never get you, no matter what happens. I've over there 50 times. I would never get like, oh, fuck, we're going to the Playboy Mansion again. I would never feel like that. I have gratitude for every second of every day. Yeah. When I'm on stage at XS or Omnia, I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. This is incredible.
That's how I feel about a lot of the things that I get to do. I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
You're a huge influencer. I mean, let me ask you something. I've always wanted to know this. The day you go to 7 figures on IG, what is that day like?
Man, that was a while ago. It was, I feel like this is part of what, remember when I'm like, what stresses you out of the pressure? Because it's the same, I feel like it was the same for me with OnlyFans and the money, right? Like, and seeing the numbers. It was always like, I want more, I want more, I want more. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's like, oh, okay, I hit 1 million. I need to hit 2 million. It's just like, when does it stop?
So the day you hit 7 figures, you weren't happy? Girl,
no, I remember I was.
Running in the goddamn streets.
Ecstatic.
I would be, are you kidding me, bro? Like, my sorry ass, like, if I had 1 million, I would fucking lose my shit.
But I've been stuck at 1.5 for a while. I was about to hit 1.6, and then it just, the algorithm.
Okay, so let's talk about that. The algorithm. You've noticed a change in the algorithm on YouTube and Instagram?
Yes. I do feel like with YouTube, I'm a little later in the game. I know a lot of my friends that are bigger creators on the platform have talked about how they could see the changes. For me, I recently finally feel like I had a bubble pop with YouTube, and I'm so excited and so grateful. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. I think it's actually happening. So that's really cool for me. But had it been a few years ago or a different algorithm, would it have been better? Probably, because I know how it is with Instagram. I feel like I got in on Instagram right before the gates like really closed with the algorithm, and they switched things up. It was before Facebook had bought them. So yeah, you had a flood of, views.
It was organic.
Oh yeah, it was great. Now I feel like I get more frustrated because of the amount of followers that I have, and being able to reach them and get them to seeing my content is what really sucks.
Yeah. It's harder to get them to see your content.
Yeah. I had more views engagement. And more engagement when I had 250,000 followers.
Yeah.
You want
to know something crazy? So I experimented with Facebook Ad Manager.
Yeah.
That's where all your engagement goes. I'm telling you right now,
heard that.
I can get I can literally, for not very much money, get as much engagement as I want, and they will promote to my followers. So they basically kind of told you, when you think about it, Instagram, at some point, once you have 2 billion active users,
it's a business.
But there's only 8 billion people on the planet, right? At some point, you get to the point where like we can't really grow the number of active users too many more. So instead, what we should do is just monetize on what we have now, because we saw how MySpace was popular, then Facebook took their spot. Facebook was popular, then Instagram took their spot. We kind of see TikTok in the fucking bushes, waiting. Maybe we need to monetize as much as we can now in case we don't become as popular. We're not as popular in the future, and so now they've commoditized everything. And as I said before, you're a threat because you're attractive. You don't have to pay for engagement because you're attractive, whereas Ford does and McDonald's does, right? Nike does, right? They have to pay for engagement. And
from my understanding too, sorry to cut you off, which made a lot of sense to me when Facebook did take it over, and then they started, the whole Facebook ads and stuff like that in the back end for creators. It made sense that Ford, right, all the money was going to the creators and the influencers. Like Ford can pay me as, Amanda Paris to create something for them, and I'm getting all that money, and then I'm going to get the organic reach. So Instagram isn't getting any of that money.
Right.
So of course I can understand it as a business and be like, hold up, wait a second. We want a piece of this pie too, because it's our platform. So, okay, you're going to have to pay us for that reach.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're still getting their cut. That made sense to me when I thought about it.
What's crazy to me is how they specifically grew their platform off your labor, and then basically made you public enemy number one on the platform.
I feel like what also gets frustrating is how some people get a pass.
Yeah, so once you there is a certain once you get to Mount Olympus, right? You're Kylie Jenner. Now you can post a sheer outfit where we see your nipples and it's fine. But if you're below that number or you don't have a blue check mark, then you can't. And the other thing that's frustrating is to me is the number of people that I know that have purchased a blue check mark.
Oh yeah, I get asked all the time, and another thing that gets really frustrating for me, even when I've met new people, their question, "Oh, are you verified? You have 1 million." Oh, are you verified? I'm like, what the fuck does that really matter?
Right.
No, I'm not. I have tried. I have been in numerous publications.
Yeah.
I've been I've been on TV. I've been in shows.
They're too busy selling the blue check marks to give you one. They don't have time to give you one.
Or they were. Now they're like, you can't buy them. Or I've had so many people approach me. I've had multiple people approach me, $4,500, $5,000, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Right.
And then I have so many fake accounts of people impersonating being me, and honestly, that I do care about people, and I do care about my fans, and it does really piss me off that these people get taken advantage of by somebody else impersonating me and getting them to purchase whatever the case may be. They think they're talking. I've had people, I'll skim through my message requests and I'll see some people like, oh, is that you that I'm talking to on WhatsApp? Right. And I'm like, I'm sure that they paid for that.
Yes.
I've even had people impersonate. They basically copied my whole YouTube channel. I thought I got hacked. That's how good it looked till I clicked on the profile.
Wow.
And they were responding to all my comments. I'm like, this is how this happened. So what's protecting me and protecting these people? Because yes, I do have an OnlyFans and I do sell certain kinds of content, but I'm not selling my phone number. Right. I even had someone go as far, they sent me a photo of a fake ID that somebody tried to send them to show them that it was me. And I was like, well, that's not actually my name. Wow. And that's not even what a California ID looks like. So that's not right.
It's amazing to me. Like I have a similar issue where there were 7 fake accounts of me. And the reason why was because I'm a recruiter. Mm-hmm. And so I get girls to go to photo shoots or to go to parties. Well, a guy, he would just change my last name and it would be all pictures of me or whatever. And they were getting people to show up to girls would hit me up, be like, hey, I actually went to this place with this dude. Hey, Instagram, there are people showing up to places, putting themselves in danger, but I don't have a blue check mark. Like, it's just incredible to me. It's like, I thought the purpose was verification. No, the purpose is status. The purpose is status. Mm-hmm. The purpose is you have made it into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what it is. And because of that, and then the next thing, the other part I love is that my account gets suspended for me impersonating myself. A couple weeks ago, I was mass reported.
Oh, I get reported for spam.
Yeah.
No, I promoted my YouTube video. Yeah. And it was like spam. I was like, are you kidding me? It used to be nudity. Yeah. I'm in a bikini or a bodysuit. And then I can't even promote a YouTube. And then I had a selfie that got pulled down. It was on my story, reported for nudity. I was like, this is absolutely...
Have you ever checked Twitter and Reddit and see if there's people coming after you? Like what happened with Claudia Fajal? There literally was some fundamentalist guy who basically was bragging about taking her account down. He basically
I'm sure there are. It's kind of chilled out right now. I haven't had any issues. Is this what? Oh, that's really loud. Maybe I should bang bang. I had a theory about a few people I thought it might be. Mm-hmm. So I blocked some people. And things kind of chilled out for a minute. I was like, that's real interesting. But I don't know. It sucks.
Vice came out with an article showing it's $60 to mass report somebody. You can pay $60 and then we'll have hundreds of people come and report you. I know girls who have lost their account.
Yeah, because imagine I get, it's an angry ex or a girl I remember this was years ago on Facebook on my page. I had this girl that was commenting. I used to use Snapchat a lot, especially when I was touring. I used to do a lot of car shows. And back then I would respond, like I would allowed anyone to message me and I would respond to people. And this girl had commented on my Facebook page and was like, you need to stop talking to my boyfriend, blah, blah. And I was like, what? I was in a relationship for 6 years. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it sounds like, I go, your boyfriend must be one of my followers. And then we started like talking on there and it's like all public. I'm like, you sound fucking crazy, but I was like, hun, I think maybe you should look for a new partner. But she was like, oh, he said that y'all dated and have slept together and like your titties look better than mine. I'm like, first of all, he's never seen my titties. And don't know who this person is. I'm in a relationship myself. So it sounds like he follows me on Snapchat and got a random like message from me or something,
Isn't it crazy the screenshot ability and the recordability of some of these conversations and people still say stupid shit? Yeah. Get caught cheating, say things that are racist or bigoted or misogynistic just out in the open with like it's incredible.
Oh, I think that even like reading my comments on my YouTube, some of the stuff people say, I'm just like
again, it's one of these situations where I tell all my friends, there's a big, right there at Flamingo and not Flamingo, but Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard. That's it's huge LED screen. Right? It's like 100 yards long. And I say, when you're texting a girl, remember, like, think about that message up on that big screen. Always think about that. Always think when you're texting a girl that 3 of her friends are standing behind her, reading your message. Be very, like, always. It's like you feel this need to be hypersexual or to send dick pics. Always remember that's there forever. And I just tell people, man, bro, like, it's never going to be worth it. Wait till you see her in person. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then the hateful comments. Like, I wonder all the people, we did an episode about vaccines, right? And we'll find out in 5 years whether or not there's long-term effects. But some of the bullshit that people put out that's just categorically untrue. Like, for instance, mRNA does not change your DNA. Yeah. What happens in 5 years? Do those people are they ever held accountable for saying stuff that isn't true? No, they will never be held accountable. And that's the problem with anonymity. Do you remember the dirty.com?
Yep. I was on there.
All right. So
I got put on there all the time.
So, the way that the dirty.com got away with what they were doing is, I believe it's,
I was able to get stuff taken down, but it took a while, and it sucked because it was always...
Was it an attorney? How'd you get it taken down?
I don't remember because it was a long time ago. I don't remember if I had to connect with somebody, because I would, you'd report it like DMC, because they would always use copyrighted images, right? And you can't do that. It must have been, I think it might have been an attorney friend or something that I had contact them and was able to get it down, because at the time, and it sucked because I was like 18, 19 at the time. And I remember the first time I read that, I cried so hard. I was in a hotel room.
You don't have to say it if you don't want.
No, I can. It was stuff about, it was picking apart my body. So at the time I had red hair. I was a redhead when I was like 18, 19. It was, she's not, and it's all bullshit. She's not a natural redhead. But I was like, of course I was like crying. I'm like, no one's a natural, like every girl fucking dyes their hair. Like, what the fuck? I think the things that hurt my feelings the most, and if any of you fuckers say anything about this on my phone, I don't even care anymore. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Because they all come for the same thing. So it was my ears. Made fun of my ears, which I used to be really, really insecure about because I was made fun of for them when I was growing up too. So they were making fun of my ears sticking out. People were like, oh, I want to use them as handlebars, make her suck my dick, like all this stuff. And I was really upset about that.
I would be upset about that, yeah.
Hurt my feelings because, again, I was really insecure about them. And my boobs, a girl like picking her, like, she has little titties, blah, blah. And now it's like, girls talk shit because my titties are big. I'm like, okay, pick a fucking side. Like, I don't really care. I love my tits, so that's fine. You can have your opinion. And they made fun of like my body, my thighs. They call me thunder thighs, like stuff like that, because I have big thighs and like whatever. What's another thing I read about myself? Oh, nice C-section scar. I've never had a child. It's like more the way my skin folds on my stomach, just picking apart anything about you. And like I said, at the time I was young, it really hurt my feelings. I was crying in my hotel room in, I think it was Ohio, because I was there for the Arnold Classic. I was like working an event. And it was one of my friends at the time who was also in the industry that, was talking to me. And he's just like, you're just getting bigger. Like, the bigger you get, like, the more people are going to come for you, and you just have to have thicker skin with this. And it still happens to this day, but I just brush it off. Or like when I'm going through my YouTube comments, because I was dealing with this yesterday, like, gets to a point too where I'm just like, all right, I don't know, for today it's not really funny to me anymore at the moment. I'm getting a little annoyed, so I'm just gonna pivot to something else. And I try to focus on the positive people that are supporting me, that are my fans, because I've also been baited into responding to negative comments.
Yes, I was going to go to that next.
Yes, the exact response I got was, oh my God, you finally responded to me. You look like my favorite actress, like Katie Cassidy. Like, oh, I love everything you do. And I'm like, all I just did was reinforce bad behavior. And all these people that said nice things about me, I responded to this negative person. So I really try to not like feed into that,
Yeah. That must be, that makes it very, very difficult. There's a Denzel Washington quote, and I get it wrong sometimes, but it's like, people who are doing better than you are never talking shit about you.
Yeah, no.
It's always people who are doing worse than you. And when
that's why even when I try to read some of this stuff, like these guys are saying, and like I said, predominantly lately it's been on my YouTube channel, because they're watching my bikini haul and they're saying stuff. I just have to laugh it off, because I'm like, okay. Like they always try to say, oh, this dumb bimbo, and like, shut up, talk less, show more. I'm like,
They have no control over you. So that's one of the issues, right? You are this beautiful thing that they see on TV, regardless of how much derision you see or how many insults or how many pejoratives. It doesn't make any difference. They can't have you. They know that whatever they say about you to try to make you less, the fact of the matter is they are not of the status to ever be in the same motherfucking room with you.
That's how, and as I've gotten older, it's like you become more confident in who you are. I'm like, yeah, I know you can say all those things that you want. I know those things are not true.
Right.
I know I'm smart. I know I'm talented. I know I'm not a fucking bimbo. I know I'm making way more fucking money in a month than you are, probably than you do all year sitting at home on your computer typing this. So you can also talk shit about that. And they'll try, oh, you're so full of yourself. I'm like, I'm a very fucking humble person. So I also like, you're just swinging and missing still. But okay. And my new response, I go, thank you so much for watching my video and taking the time to comment, because you're just helping me and I'm making ad money. So keep on doing it.
Keep on
I
commenting.
Don't give a shit.
Yes. Welcome. I was week 4 of doing this podcast. We started getting, after I had Talia Paris on here, we started getting like, stop making her laugh, get away from my princess, like these like hateful comments about me. It was pretty funny. It was like, and then women were like, she was 19 when you met her, you're a fucking pedophile. I was like, oh man, this is great. Like we're gonna crank up the algorithm.
Right. I'm like, honestly, it all helps.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, help the algorithm. Like, comment. I honestly kind of really like it when they argue in the comments, because it really just helps my stuff get views. So I'm like, keep it up. And then my fans, have my back. So I'm like, cool.
It is a real weird thing where it's like you should say less, and defending yourself actually hurts the situation. I can't. I'm trying to think of some of the things. I'm a trust fund kid. I'm a pimp. I'm a drug dealer.
Oh, I have something like go back to your apartment or I have a sugar daddy. Or I'm like, I worked for
there's always a sugar daddy.
But okay, cool. I don't care.
And it is really interesting. One of the things why I would recommend, if you want to start a podcast, you do it, is because you get to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum that go after Joe Rogan, but they can't really go after him because he gets the opportunity to completely expound his viewpoints, whether it be about guns or about marijuana or whatever. And he doesn't sound crazy. He's actually very politically moderate, but people on the right hate him because he says things about climate change, and people on the left hate him because he says things about transgender. So because of that, like it's like, no, everyone thinks, well, he must belong to some political party. There must be some special interest. And he's like, no, man, Spotify gave him $100 million or $60 million.
Yeah,
he's good. He doesn't need money from either political party.
Yeah.
And so he can just say whatever it is that he actually believes. And I think that's a really great thing, is that you get to control your own narrative. When you do a podcast that's an hour long or something like that, you get to control your own narrative, and people get to see who you really are.
I think that, and I do have a lot of stuff that I have been through and want to talk about, and even like talking about the YouTube stuff and how, it's a swimsuit haul, or making videos that are honestly created for other women.
Yeah.
And I do understand, because I see they're like, does she realize there's a bunch of guys on here watching? I'm like, yeah, I understand you guys want to see my body and whatever. Did I create this for that? No. There are a percentage of women that are also watching this, and we really do care about, like, even last time when I hosted here the other weekend, I had so many, I love that bikini cover up. I love your shoes. And I'm like, oh, girl, you got to get this. Like, this product's amazing. Or they're like, oh, you're so glowy. I'm like, oh my God, you guys have to try this body illuminate. Like, we talk about that. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to make videos about that stuff. So that's cool. You guys want to watch it? Great. I'm still benefiting from it. I'm getting ad revenue. All my numbers are still going up, but I'm not creating it for that purpose. If you want that kind of content, I always tell them, they're like, especially the less talking and just show more. I'm like, here's the link to my OnlyFans, and you could go there, because I don't really talk that much there, I just shoot content.
So let's talk about OnlyFans. CJ Sparks told me that when she was doing webcamming before OnlyFans, she said she wouldn't even speak. She's like, you had to pay her extra just to speak.
I hate talking. I get guys like, because I do custom content too, where they can request things, and sometimes they're like, will you say this? And I'm like, I do that for my YouTube. I don't want to talk. I'd rather just model, like cut. And I do like to get creative with it and cut something up to like dope music and get cool shots and have fun with it. But yeah, I don't like talking.
it felt like there was this aggressive thirst from a lot of these desperate men going into DMs, and then all of a sudden those guys in England decided, hey, why don't we monetize all this thirst? Right. Yeah. And then like now it's like before, I think Paula Candy, I think, was the first girl who told me this. She was like, yeah, I rate dick pics and get paid for rating dick pics. You think about the incredible offensive nature. Like I have some, some friends like you are huge influencers, and I see that they just show me, hey, real quick, can you show me 100 dick pics right now? Like, yeah, no problem. Here you go. There's 100 of them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then they're like, hey, why don't we take this like creepy energy and then just make money off of it?
Yeah. Because I have somebody, they're like, you don't respond to your messages. I'm like, I don't even have notifications on my Instagram because there's so many.
Yeah.
Great. You want to talk to me? I will respond to you on my OnlyFans. I run it myself. And I do send voice messages on there. I do like doing that. I get a lot of people that are like, oh, I really love that. So I do talk to you. But it's mainly some of the requests I get. And again, everyone has their line of what they want. They're like, I remember I had someone, they're like, do you do JOI videos? And I'm like, what's that?
For like, those who are wondering, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud.
I was going to say jerk off instruction.
Jerk off instruction.
Like,
I'm sorry,
no.
Mom. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, that's
sorry,
what they're
Mom.
called. JOIs.
Yeah, no. Or they want me to say it. And I'm like, this feels really uncomfortable for me. So no.
I also do not do JOI. Just to let you know. Just to let people know. I do not do JOI. Yeah.
So, but, sometimes they just want to hear me say that. Like, I'll be like, hey, so-and-so, but I don't know. I don't do, my stuff is you mentioned kindly in that I'm very much in that category. I do implied. I am a very sexual person. I love feeling sexy. I love that I do have a platform that I can embrace that and create content because I'd pulled a lot of that stuff off in Instagram. And especially really struggled with that personally for a while back because it's like, I like being sexy and, Rihanna can post this or this celebrity can post this. But for me, it's like, oh, hide your boobs and cover this up and you're not going to be taken seriously like as an actress or this or that. And I'm like, but this is also part of who I am. And like, what's wrong with women being sexy and wanting to feel sexy? That's why we buy a lot of the shit that we do, right? That's why we want to walk around in 5-inch heels. I know some men like it, but
no,
really
I do not like 5-inch heels. Maybe 4 or 3, but not 5.
But you know what I'm saying? My point is like, I feel like a lot of times we are doing it for ourselves or because we want to feel good. So I had stopped doing even I like posting swimsuit photos, and I also would get reported constantly. So I spent a couple of years where I was just focusing on my acting and sketches, and I wanted people to take that seriously. And then, OnlyFans popped off for me, and I was like, okay, I could do this. And now I can create all that fun, sexy content because I know how to do that shit all day long.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on there. And honestly, sometimes I look at I've created so much content for my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning, I was doing way too much. I learned I could still make what I make by doing a lot less. I was like, oh, because I was blowing through content. But I'm kind of like, man, it sucks that I can't post this. I mean, I could post some of it on Instagram or stuff like teasers, but it's like people have no idea the stuff that I've done or created, or they see little snippets, maybe of it because little things that I share, but I'm kind of like, man, I want to show this shit. It's so good.
Yeah.
But I don't, because
right.
I want to keep it exclusive, and this is where you have to go to see it.
Well, I mean, it's funny because...
but there's some shit I'm proud of. I'm like...
Like, what do you mean?
Like just videos I've done, and I've learned how to shoot. Like I shoot Lenny. I've shot Friends.
Photography. I was going to talk to you about this. Yeah.
Videos, editing. I've just, I don't know, created some cool stuff or stuff that I'm like, man, that's fucking hot.
You mentioned your acting and your real transition to that. The acting that you've done, and then also your TikTok. I see you do skits on there.
Yeah. I've been trying to focus back on TikTok. It's so hard, again, doing everything yourself and creating different content for each platform, right? One woman show, so it's a lot. And then the algorithms get really frustrating. Yeah.
Okay, so can you talk about that? Because I have my own experience where I was just posting trash on TikTok. All the crazy shit you see me posting on my IG story, I would just post it on TikTok, and I was getting videos with 6, 7, 800,000 views. I went from 0 to 14,000 subscribers in a couple weeks or a couple months, and then they promptly deleted my brown ass from TikTok very quickly. Like they took my shit down. Because of the stuff that I was posting, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, now I understand." And then
you have 15-year-olds dancing too.
Yeah, 15-year-old
about
exactly
getting cummed on their face. So, that gets frustrating. So my experience with TikTok has been not the greatest. I would spend you're saying, oh, I was posting trash on there and getting views. I was spending time shooting videos or doing all these dope transitions and stuff, and then it would get 200 views. I'm like, this is bullshit. And people like, post more. You just need, I've had friends that were like famous on Vine. They're like, you need to post 6 times a day. I'm like, okay, I blew through so much content that I ran out, and I was like, this shit, hardly grew. I hardly got any views. And I'm friends with some very big influencers, and I'm shooting with them. I'm like, they hate me. I don't know. And then they're like, it's because I'd get reported too.
Yeah.
Also, I'm like, I've learned I can't even if I'm in a bikini, it'll get flagged for a while. If I show my butt at all in a swimsuit or anything, or I even turned around once in jean shorts, it'll get reported. I'm honestly surprised they let my last video go up because it's, from when I was hosting here at Sapphire, I did a little.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I cut together a reel.
Tabby was there.
Yes, yeah. My friend Tabby. Yeah, so I posted on TikTok. I was like, this is probably going to get taken down and get my account flagged. And it stayed up because I turned around at one point in my bikini and I'm like dancing. So I watch TikTok's probably going to find it now. They're going to be like, report, or somebody's going to report it. It's going to be down.
So one of the things, there was a photo shoot one time at CJ's place. They were doing some IGTV stuff. So Maisa kindly and CJ were there, and I showed them, and I was getting more interactions on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they were furious. And I was like, but eventually I lost my account, but they were like, it's because you're a dude. It's like they don't come after you because you're a guy. Like they come after us. And again, it seems like they've started off with this, and I'm just going to say this right now, and I'm 5 years from now, people look back and say whether or not I was right or wrong. I don't trust the numbers from TikTok. I know too many people who are kind of, no offense, nobodies getting videos with 10 million views. There's just too many people I know that have videos with 800,000 views. Just randomly, it'll be 200 views, 800,000 views, 60,000 views, 200 views. And it seems so random that I just postulating a hypothesis here that maybe TikTok is ramping up these numbers to give you that dopamine hit so that you keep coming back to TikTok. I also know a company that just really, really leveraged their marketing budget on TikTok views, and that company cratered in sales afterwards. It did not translate at all into sales. I'm curious to see in 5 years if we find out that TikTok was a kind of a house of cards. Do you remember Facebook was actually, there was a lawsuit against them because every time you would scroll over a video, that would count as a view. On YouTube, it doesn't work like that. I think it's 5 seconds. You have to watch it.
You have to watch it for a certain period of time.
Well, Facebook was like ramping up, and you saw 17 million views on like regular people's posts, and it was like, no, that they just basically it just ran through the screen very quickly. They just swiped through it, and Facebook had to change their algorithm because of that. I think TikTok's doing that. Personally, I'm guessing that they're doing it. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that for me, I've just seen too many people where it was content that's not very good, and I'm just like, how the fuck does this guy have 80,000 views on some of this stuff?
And that's what gets frustrating as a creator, is taking the time to create content and then it doesn't get seen. You're just like, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, that's why I did stop doing a bunch of stuff for a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna be over here on OnlyFans because at least I'm got people paying for my stuff, and I can actually do something with this versus this shit's not going anywhere, and I have no control over it. We can sit here and say our theories all we want, but we don't really know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I also know they're businesses.
Yeah.
They're a business.
So so
they could very well be doing that.
That leads to my next point. So if a business gets large enough in this country, so like for instance the electric company, or if the power or the water company or telephone, Ma Bell, it becomes a public utility. The federal government can kind of take over and take some of the control away or break up monopolies. And there's been a lot of talk about the fact that Instagram has such a domination over the market that they're either, you could say the Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook trio is somewhat of a monopoly, which I think you could make somewhat of a case for that, although there is TikTok, treating Facebook, the corporation, like a public utility. And the reason why a lot of people would like that idea is because when I post on social media, I am not protected under the U.S. Constitution. I'm protected under a few things like hate speech and stuff like that. You can't, doxing me might be a crime, but when someone mass reports you, you do not get to face your accuser, and you're presumed guilty until proven innocent, right? It's the opposite of what the U.S. Constitution provides for you. And so the idea would be that these large social media platforms would be turned into public utilities. They'd still be private companies, but they would basically be like, you can't suspend her account until you can prove that she used hate speech. You can't suspend her account until you can show specifically how her butt violated terms of service. Terms of service that you and I don't have any fucking clue what they are.
It's always so vague. And then it's like, we can't reinforce, we can't put this content, like you can appeal it, but like I had one, it was actually a video of me and Lenny we did for 4th of July. This is other shit that gets one, because I have a backup account that I made a long time ago, and I posted the same video there. Didn't get reported, still up there, and it's us, like we have like red, white, and blue, or I don't remember, they're fucking popsicles, and we're like sucking on them. We're like pulling them out of our mouths and they like switch. That's it. Plenty of other creators did the same. They did it with lollipops, whatever. It was that like Bruno Mars mix and it would switch invert. It was this like invert filter. It was a trending thing on TikTok and Reels. Got reported for nudity on my main account. I appealed it. They finally said they put it back up, but then it doesn't go on like my actual profile. It was just in Reels. It had like 4,000 views. I have 1.5 million followers. I'm like, okay. So I just took it down. I posted it on my backup page. It has 176,000 followers. Doesn't get reported. Doesn't get flagged. Stays up. Gets 31,000 views. I'm like, okay. Like, but what do we do? It's like, this is reported for porn. I'm like, for what? Like,
yeah, but the thing is, so this is my next point. I'd say 85 to 90% of all reporting, period, is someone just being a hater.
Yeah.
It is someone who doesn't like you because...
And it sucks because you're messing with my business, my money, my income, and then also the time I'm taking to create this. Like I had mentioned earlier, it was a selfie. It was from when I was in the studio recording one of my last songs, and I'm in a jean jacket, I think my t-shirt up to here, and I'm going like that. Yeah. And I think I was promoting my OnlyFans, like saying like swipe up for more content reported for porn. I'm like, what?
So can you imagine how like, no, think about this situation, right? It's like your boyfriend breaks up with you and then doesn't want you to date anyone else. That's what IG did. IG's like, think about what IG did, right? They're like, no, you can't post this lascivious content anymore. That's fine, IG. Fuck you. We're going to go to OnlyFans and we're going to make a ton of money and pull this money off your platform. Fuck you. You can't promote OnlyFans either. Really? Okay, so again, I want to break up with you, but you can't date anyone else either. Yeah. And it's just gotten to the point where I've said this before.
And the thing about me promoting I just said, so I've also learned, it's like there's certain ways, right? Swipe up for more content. And it went to my link tree with all my stuff. Yeah, OnlyFans is on there, but so is my YouTube and my TikTok and my Amazon and my webs, all this stuff. So why am I getting reported for nudity and porn? What is pornographic about this link that it's going to?
Somebody's reporting you because they just feel like reporting.
And so why is it get taken down like that? Because I don't get to defend myself
because you're
at
getting
all.
mass reported. Again, so this is we're going to get a little political here, but there's a culture where, do you remember before Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault, there was the believe her thing, right? Or believe the accuser, right? Trust the accuser. And then when Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault, then it wasn't believe the accuser anymore, right? They changed the narrative. Well, believe the accuser is sort of the ethos of Silicon Valley. So now the accuser has accused you of posting nudity. Well, we believe the accuser. Therefore, this is how totalitarian regimes like Russia, this is how they function. We just believe the accuser. I report you for doing anti-communist things, and then next thing you know, you're in Lubyanka getting your head blown off. Like that's the way the Soviet Union worked. And now we do that here where we just believe the accuser. We let the accuser report you for bullying when you didn't bully. Who's the actual bully? The reporter. Yeah. Exactly. And it's so crazy to me that this irony does not fall on these social media platforms to understand. Like I said, 85 to 90% of all reporting, again, I don't know the terms of service, but I'm reporting you for violating terms of service.
How do you report me for that? But yet we have artists, we talk about music, songs, the stuff that we're singing about. You could even talk about WAP, how big that was. What ass pussy? That's what we're talking about, and singing and having videos posted about, and that's fine.
For 15 years, every musical artist I listened to was a rapper who sold crack cocaine. I totally understand what you're saying. And we didn't care. It was fine because in that genre or in that context, it just didn't seem like it was a big problem. And like I said before, it's funny because it's the way that content is treated is not equal. The way content is treated.
Some people get a pass, some people don't. Exactly. And it's like, just make it, I feel like I always say this like about, credit cards and stuff, like pay machines, like when you go to pay for something in the stores, like, can we all just get on the same page? Like, am I tapping? Am I inserting? Like, what the fuck are we doing? And same thing with like mask. Are we wearing mask? Are we not wearing mask? Like, can we all just like make a decision? Because I feel like the inconsistency of everything, right? It's like, well, at the beginning you said this didn't protect, I'm like switching gears and going with COVID, but I feel like that's something everyone can relate to as a hot topic right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, in the beginning we're told the masks don't protect against the virus, but now we're telling everyone to wear a mask, or this mask is okay. You can literally wear a freaking sheet over your head, whatever. It doesn't matter, Yeah. I think we all just want like to be on the same page. Just make the same rules.
We can never
for fucking all of us.
We can never be on this. I mean, I don't know if we can ever be on the same page.
We won't be.
I feel like actually, you remember when we were growing up, we'd go to school and we'd learn things like algebra or physics or something like that. And we kind of understood like an inalienable truth, a truth about the law of gravity or whatever. And it's because there's so many sources of information. Now there are people who believe the earth is flat because you legitimately, like, you don't educate people properly in physics. And then you get to a point where they will literally believe things that the sky is green. And it's really crazy because, again, your truth, right? There are people, sugar daddy, whatever, things about your body. And they'll say these things with impunity because of their anonymity, right? And now we're at a point. So personally, I think things are better because there's more bandwidth and because I can learn things. And for instance, think about the explosion in Beirut, Lebanon. We knew immediately after that explosion happened, we saw so many social media posts.
There's so many great things.
And we were able to send money to those people because that happened. That's just an example of, like, literally within 10 minutes, I'm living on the other half of the planet, the other hemisphere of the planet, and I'm seeing what happened in Beirut, Lebanon immediately, and then we were able to send them money. So from that standpoint, it's great, right? You have the Arab Spring that happened. From that point, it's terrific. But from other standpoints, the idea that I literally, because I'm going to have a Flat Earther on the show, Flat Earth Dave is going to come on my show, the idea that I could have educated people that do not have severe neurological disorders, or maybe they do, I don't know, that would actually believe the earth is flat is a function of, like, there is no truth check anymore, right? Because whatever is politically viable is more important than whatever is the actual truth. Does that make sense? And so we get into a situation where it's like, I am, like, for instance, I don't want to go too far down this road, but like hydrochloroquine did not work against COVID. Sorry, guys, it didn't work. There have been several tests. It doesn't work. But there were people that were literally, there were doctors that were prescribing it to people specifically because the president had said that it was helping them. And it turns out after numerous studies, it doesn't do anything. It's just it's an anti-parasitic medication. And so one of the situations was, we're like, what was the truth? And I still to this day hear people say both sides of it, or that mRNA vaccines change your DNA. No, they don't. They legitimately do not. And so it's really interesting to me.
That's why I try to stay out of so many debates. People send me stuff, I'm like, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. It's exhausting. And I'm like,
Well, it's funny because I did a podcast on vaccines, and there was a time where, like, I'm having so many goddamn comments, and I'm like, man, I kind of wish I didn't stick my foot in this because, man, it's like, it was just so offensive to so many people just to have this conversation. Or the autism debate. Holy shit, man, the vaccine autism debate. There's so many people that, like, you can sit, literally, I'll show them 14 different studies that show unequivocally, dude, there have been.
But other things I've learned with studies.
Yeah.
And that I didn't know before, and was brought to my attention by friends of mine that are doctors that are, teach on this stuff, and they're like, you don't have to teach other doctors how to break these down in these studies, because they don't realize, oh yeah, this study said this, and this is the little piece of information they'll take it from, oh, like this works for 50% of people, but they didn't know, oh, that was 50% of white Caucasian females in this age range with this, so it's not really going to work for this person. Oh, the study was actually put on by the company that owns the drug. There's just so many things that I believe is, the average consumer doesn't really look into where this study is. I even had a friend recently send me, something, it had to do with like a Viagra thing. I ended up like Googling it and looking more about this whole article, and it was from years ago. Yeah, for sure. And if you dive deeper into someone breaking it down, I'm like, oh, okay. But again, I'm just like, I'm staying away from this because I also have a lot going on, and I don't want to get into this debate of things, you know? And I just say, with all of it, I feel like we're not really, I think, going to ever know the truth about a lot of things. I think that there's things we definitely cannot handle. You want to get into aliens or all those conspiracies, which I love. I've done it. Well, we could do a deep dive one day with that.
Okay, what do you think about aliens, Ms. Paris?
I think that, like I was saying, we'll never know the truth about a lot of things I don't think we can handle, but I think it's pretty ridiculous for us to really think that we're the only things out there that exist in the entire, like, we are such a tiny little planet and a you know what I mean? It's so Big.
So what you're referring to in science is called the Fermi Paradox, and what it has to do.
Oh yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So basically the idea is how many stars are there, how many Goldilocks zones in those stars, how many planets that are Earth-sized in those places, and how many of those planets would have organic chemicals, organic components that for the possibility to create life. And the likelihood that there is life on other planets is extremely high. You're right. It is arrogant to believe that. The problem with the aliens thing is this, right? And this, I'm just going to be devil's advocate right now. The nearest star to Earth is Proxima Centauri, and it is 4.1 light years away. That is 24 trillion miles away. It would take you at the speed of light, 186,282 miles a second, 4 years.
He's had this conversation before.
4 years to get there. Human beings are not even capable of 1% the speed of light, meaning when you get like the gravity assist from the planet Jupiter, you can get up to maybe 36,000 miles an hour. That we are not even 1/1000th of 1% the speed of light at that point. You have no possibility of going that fast. So now you're telling me that aliens that are made of matter are capable of moving at that speed. What I would believe is maybe some artificial intelligence or some replicant, something like that, was able to spread and get to Earth. But the likelihood that any living being was able to travel, again, Proxima Centauri probably doesn't have life near it. We're talking about stars that are multiples of 24 trillion miles away, and the likelihood that those creatures were able to come to our planet and visit us, it's like, we're not that fucking interesting. I know Joe Rogan is like, no, we're super interesting. I'm like, not really, not compared. We're not interesting compared to a civilization that would be able to travel that incredible amount of distance, or they'd also have to have the ability to travel at near the speed of light in order to do that. So from that standpoint, are there aliens? Yes. Have they visited us? High likelihood, no.
Yeah.
That's just from Neil deGrasse Tyson's perspective. Okay, that's basically the devil's advocate there, just using physics. That's why.
There's that side. I didn't say yes, they visited us or no, they didn't. But I'm like, there's probably some shit out there we don't know about, and we're not going to.
Well, there's a thing called panspermia, which is a theory that basically, so there's these creatures that live in down in the like Marianas Trench, or down by like these volcanic vents that are down at the bottom of the ocean, or they live in frozen. The frozen tundra. These things are thousands of years old. They're thawed out and they reanimate. These are little biological organisms called tardigrades, or water bears. So somebody had the great idea, I believe it was the Chinese or the Indians, I forgot who it was, that went up to the ISS and started putting these things out into hard vacuum. They put them out into deep space, negative 270 degrees Celsius, deep space with no atmospheric pressure, and tried to see what happened. And they fucking lived. These tardigrades lived in hard vacuum. Now think about what that means. If you had organisms that are so small, not affected by gravity, heat, cold, or the fact that the hard vacuum of space, now let's put a bunch of these things on a meteor and have it crash into the Earth 3 billion years ago. That actually may be the formation of life on this planet. It may have come from a meteor somewhere else. Does that make sense? Like non-animated creatures that were there. That is a reality that could happen, because again, we've seen some of these creatures that have been frozen for a long time. So the origin of life on this planet may have come from another planet. That is a conspiracy I like to talk about, because there's science behind it. You see what I'm saying?
One of my favorite shows, I haven't watched it in a long time, was Ancient Aliens.
Yes.
Because I love it. They break stuff down. I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you explain that? You can just go so many ways with it. You
can.
And again, kind of, back to what you were saying also with like information out there. I actually saw someone, he made a comedy video on this, and I'd shared it around. I don't know if I posted it on my story, but I definitely sent it to some of my friends, and he's like, I don't know what to believe anymore on the internet. Like if I drink, he's like, I'm standing in line at Starbucks, and then I'm getting, a coffee, and I read online like, oh, caffeine may make you go blind if you drink too much. And I'm like, oh shit, am I going to go blind? But then you can look up, caffeine's actually great for your eyesight and helps. He's like, which one is it? This one or this one?
It's hard.
There's all this stuff that supports both. Like you can put anything out there. What do you believe?
Over time, I just look at peer-reviewed studies after a while, and you're going to find that the quick headline on the not credible website is the one that's going to be the minority. And then you're going to find over time, we're going to find that this actually helped us with certain things. Does that make sense? The peer-reviewed studies, a lot of people don't like that. Well, the peer-reviewed studies, they're corrupted by Pfizer or Moderna. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what peer-reviewed means. That means every doctor you've met is already corrupted. No, I would generally go read the science, but those things are so not sexy, and you don't see full reports ever in CNN or Newsweek. So that's a reason why a lot of people have a lot of of misinformation. If you really want to know the truth about things, you can look hard enough and find it.
Right, but
YouTube
nobody
and Facebook,
wants to do that.
YouTube, Facebook, and Reddit are not the places to do that, though. That's the problem, right? There's not Scientific American or scientific journals. Those are the more likely the places to do those things. And I know I've just made a lot of people angry just by saying this right now. I want to switch I want to switch topics about this, all right? And we can't talk about aliens or quantum mechanics or anything that you want to do like that. A lot of times I ask my guests this. I live in Las Vegas. You live in Los Angeles. Dating in the two cities. Now, I don't know if you've dated someone in either one of the two cities, but can you talk about the difference of these two places?
Well, I haven't. Well, I guess I have dated someone who lived in Vegas before, but here I'm from the Midwest. I've lived in St. Louis, lived in Chicago, dated there, moved to LA, because I hear that a lot. You know, when I was single in LA dating, they're like, "Oh, it's so hard dating in LA," and I'm like, I feel like it's the same everywhere, because honestly, I've dated, not great people from the Midwest, because you hear that like, "Oh, find you, good Midwest guy," and I'm like, they're fucking psychopaths too. So my experience has been, and my advice to anyone is just honestly really learning yourself and figuring out what you want in a partner and those qualities, and being able to identify those things within someone and setting boundaries for yourself. That's something I really had to work on for myself. So was it the city and the people I was dating, or was it really honestly kind of a reflection on me and setting boundaries for myself and really learning, human behavior and things of like, oh yeah, no, that's a red flag. That's a hard red flag, and that's not going to change, and that doesn't work for me. So I need to pivot here.
So you find that in every place you've been.
Honestly, yeah. I don't know if LA is worse than Chicago or Vegas. I think people, because there's also a lot of people that aren't from there. My, last relationship that I had in LA, I met him in LA, but he was from the Midwest. So is it really LA like that made him a shitty guy, or is it just he was a shitty guy?
Yeah. I mean, their interests collide between men and women. There's a bunch of great books about this by David Buss about evolutionary psychology, about what men want from a relationship, variety of sexual partners, whatever, and what women would want from a relationship, a high status male, stuff like that. It makes it really interesting.
I think people need to just be honest with each other.
Okay, so that's where I was going to go next.
I really think it comes with being honest with yourself. And, being in the dating scene, I will say, when you find a healthy partner and somebody that is actually like ready, or I can only speak, I guess, really from my female standpoint, dating men, because I do think I dated boys. I think they were grown boys, I call them, and they weren't ready. Maybe, maybe they'll grow into the people they need to be, but it's like, okay, do I want to wait for you to get through your hoe phase and you to disrespect me and treat me all these ways?
Hoe phase. Hashtag hoe phase.
Hashtag your hoe phase.
Write that in the comments if you got to this point. Hashtag hoe phase.
But, I was telling one of my friends this recently, because I see her, going, she's a little younger than me and going through, dating like the same person and just some stuff she's dealing with. And I'm like, it is fucking night and day when you have somebody that treats you right. It is not, you're not confused. There's no question. Like it's so different. It's, I don't want to say it makes it easier, but it kind of does.
You come to the realization of what you're worth, and you realize that you were allowing a behavior in your life for
which I spent a lot
of
time working on myself after, especially after my last relationship, which I do believe, some people may say it's cliche. I do think everything happens for a reason, and I have had some really bad shit happen in my life and some really painful things that I went through. But when I did look back at it, I'm like, you know what, what did I get out of that? I'm like, okay, that put me in this place. I wrote one of my first songs after going through what I went through. It pushed me. I was like, what can I do with this pain, and how can I take that into my art? And I created something that I am so proud of, and was able to channel that into something else. And also it really made me work on myself. I spent a lot of time alone, and it was hard. It was so hard. I cried a lot. I was really fucking sad sometimes. And people wouldn't know that, right? Being on social media, right? They're like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, I pushed myself through it. Like I sat and I explained it to someone. I was like, I feel like here's your comfort zone, right? You've been swimming around in this water, and I've swam out into the ocean in this uncharted water, and I'm so uncomfortable and I'm so scared. And I have all these new emotions, but I'm like, I'm not fucking swimming back over there because I know everything over there is everything that I do not want, and everything else that I want is out here. So I'm gonna stay here, and I'm just gonna keep. And I just stayed in it and stayed in it and stayed in it and worked on myself. And I got to a point where, because I always did, I really wanted a partner, I wanted a relationship, I wanted a family, all those things, and I really became okay with being alone.
Yeah.
And happy to where. Again, with setting boundaries, so I'm more selective at who I'm letting in. It's not like, oh, this guy's great, and so okay, bam, like let's do all this stuff together. It's like, no, or not auditioning for the part, but it's like an interview process. Like, okay, you're great and we're having fun, but are you somebody that I want to be in a relationship and do these things and invest this time? Because I don't want anything now that disrupts my peace. I found peace within myself and like true happiness, and all these things that I've built for my life, and I want to share that with somebody, but you can't just fucking let anybody in.
Yes.
And I learned that too the hard way by letting the wrong people close to you, because your significant other has such a impact on your life.
The
oh
CEO
my God.
Of the company. Yeah.
Little tic-tac comments, the way you think, to break it sucks. And it's like, we really should be more selective at who we let close to us, you know?
Yeah, I think when we're young, we have either the I just don't give a fuck about anybody else sort of attitude, or I'm building my entire existence out of this other person I'm dating.
Yeah, the codependency, or also I am such a caring person. It's hard to realize, like, I think for me, I was trying to understand, like, well, why would they do that? I would never do that, or I'm a good person. Yeah. I wanted to believe in them and this good thing, instead of, also a big thing for me too is looking at actions versus words.
Right.
Because I would say all the right things. I'm like, oh yeah, I want all those things. And then the actions didn't line up, and I would chase those things, right? We think we can change somebody. We think, oh, this is a big thing I hear people say too. And I did it too. So speaking from personal experience, oh, I know we could be great. I know if they did this, we'll be better. We could get there. We could be this amazing power couple. We can have all this stuff together. You know, it's just going to be so great if, right? All these things. And it's like, the reality is, if you were going to be so great, you would be great. It would be that. It's not that you're hanging on to an idea. I was hanging on to an idea of something.
Well, yeah, if you want to be with somebody, you're going to do anything you can to be with them. And that was a hard thing. Again, growing up, I had an issue where I had some codependency family members, and I had learned some bad habits. And it was one of these things where, man, when I really learned to just be happy being alone, man, it really changed a lot. That's
my biggest advice to people. It's funny, even a couple, on my OnlyFans, I have some guys that'll just talk. I'm like giving relationship advice, life advice, and some of them are lonely. And I'm like, hey, honestly, like, you really need to be, it's like, really work on being okay with being alone. Like, seriously, like, some people are like, oh no, I'm good at being alone. It's like, no, you're not. Like, it's different. It's different. Which I think is what you were starting to say. Like, you really get to a place where it's your peace.
There's some people who are forced to be alone, and there's some people that just are not good at being alone, right? So there's two points I want to bring up. Number one, you are Amanda Paris. So that means that the wickedest of the wicked are going to be coming to you with the fake watch and the rented Lamborghini, talking all that smooth shit to try to get at you. Where that can be
or to ride my coattails, and ran into that where I'm like,
exactly. So that the issue that I'm trying to say is, like, you understand, like, there's a group. So we're going to talk about the way evolutionary psychology just a little bit here. I don't know if you know this. 26% of men report having 0 sexual partners in the last year. This was a University of Chicago study, and I think that was 28% of men reported having 0 sexual partners from the time they were 18. This is a different group to the time they were 30. There is a group of men at the bottom who have nothing going on. Nothing. They have no prospects, living in their mom's basement for several different reasons, because they're just like, they got skipped over. I think a lot of these guys are on OnlyFans, to be honest with you. Right. And so you see that. Now, the other end of the spectrum, you and me are at Bilzerian's house. And it's there. We're surrounded by dudes, like a lot of fame. There's a few famous dudes there that have probably been with 2,000 women. Yeah. Right. And so it's not evenly distributed at all. Yeah. And what happens, what I've seen is that for a lot of women, the guys who get with thousands of women, and I'm not hating on these dudes, but they're just better at getting around women. And the guys who are like really good would treat you like a fucking princess. They can't get out of their mom's basement. That's what it seems like. It seems to be this bifurcation, because whenever I explain to women, I'm like, yeah, 26% of men have had 0 sexual partners. They're like confused, like, how is that possible? And it's because we're at EDC, or we're on stage at we're on stage at, XS or something like that, or we're at the Playboy Mansion, and all the guys there, they're not having trouble having sex. But like in general, you go to Walmart, go look at the cashier, the people stocking the shelves. Like these guys they do not have a ton of options, and the world kind of leaves it behind. I was listening to this one psychologist say that this is actually like, because we live in a polygamous culture, we do somewhat, marriage is failing, like 53% of marriages are failing. We're leaving a certain group of men behind, where there's a group of men at the top who are getting all the girls, and then there's a group of men at the bottom who are getting nothing. And because of that, those men can become dangerous. That's where we see red pill, incel community, manosphere type stuff, where very hateful men that are coming online and saying horrible things about you specifically. And so it's a really interesting situation where, I don't know what the answer is, but there's a lot of very frustrated men out there. And then in your situation, they're confused because you're this perfect woman to them, and you can't find the right guy sometimes because you're getting mixed signals.
I had a lot of that. They're like, "Oh, you're single. How are you single?" And I'm like, one, I've learned from a lot of mistakes. I'm forcing myself to be single because I'm going to be selective about who I want as a partner. And two, that's another thing about like I like being open about the things that I've been through, and it makes me want to be, because I do think there's also a lot of, you could say, men or women that are like, oh, if I was as beautiful as you, then a guy would treat me right. And I'm like, no, I've been cheated on, I've been lied to, I've been physically abused. Like it's all happened to me too. So it doesn't, like, don't.
Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. Tyga cheated on.
Oh yeah, people. J-Lo got cheated. It's like that shit don't mean anything.
You want to know what this is? I'm going to tell you. You maybe never heard this before. When I was 14, I went out. I was in junior high, and I went out to recess one time, and there was the first kid in our class who dunked a basketball. He was 14, and what do you think we all did? We all like, oh motherfuck, the guy dunked a basketball. What do you think he did after he dunked the basketball? You want to take a guess?
I don't know.
He continued to dunk that motherfucker for the rest of the recess. He dunked it over and over again. The next day at recess, he kept dunking the basketball over and over again. He got a superpower, and so he kept using it. Now a guy dates Amanda Paris. A guy dates a playmate. A guy dates a girl he would have never gotten in a million years. He becomes a famous plastic surgeon or ends up with a huge YouTube channel or whatever, and all of a sudden he's dating women that were way out of his league before. What does he want to do? He wants to keep dunking the basketball. He doesn't just want to dunk it once. He wants to keep exercising the superpower, because what happens with these guys is they think, because I got a playmate, that means I can get a playmate. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's where the difficulty comes. It's like,
I could see that. I remember hearing stuff like that before, but looking at my past dating history, yeah, I could see that. I'm like, wow.
You understand, like, dating Amanda Paris, that's a big deal for 99.99% of the human population, right?
I guess it's weird to say, because I'm like, I'm just me. Like, I feel like I'm really down to earth. I feel like I'm a really good partner, to somebody, and the things that I've been through. I'm just like, why? I'm like, I know. I'm like, you, I guess with them, like, you're the top tier. Like, you had everything. And they always come back. All of them, y'all know who the fuck you are. Y'all came back.
Okay, talk about this.
Y'all not here. Yeah, they're not here. And I actually asked somebody this the other day, and I was like, because I like to think my random thoughts, and it was, do you think people who cheat deserve a second chance? And they gave me their opinion, and mine is no. I've been there. I've done that. I think absolutely not. And that was even my last relationship, I was cheated on, tried to come back, and I was like, here's the thing.
Did you go see some other guy?
Me?
When you got cheated on, yeah.
No.
You didn't? Okay, so that
I was devastated. Yeah. I honestly, I didn't see it coming at all, and it's like in an instant when I found out because I ran into the girl leaving his place, and she's the one that told me, and I felt like this man, this person that I knew and I'd put on this pedestal, it all just changed in an instant. Yeah. And again, I tried to find the positive, and I was like, thank God I got this from her and know the truth, because it also, I was getting, I don't know if you guys know what gaslighting is, and manipulation, but all the shit, like, it made so much sense to me. And I was like, holy fuck, my world got flipped upside down, but I got a lot of clarity. I was like, I'm not fucking crazy. I was right about everything that I was feeling. And I had to work through all that. But no, I didn't go run to somebody else. I was, after the shock wore off, I was like, then, I cried and I was sad because I was just hurt, Yeah. but again, had to look at it like, okay, how did I end up in this place? Where were the red flags? Where were the signs? What are the things that I missed? And I'm like, oh, they were here and they were here. And this is what I did instead. And this is what I should have done instead of that. But anyway, like when he tried to come back, I'm sorry, and I'm going to do all these things. And it's like, now that I've worked on myself and I have a value of myself and my time, I don't want to spend, it's like, oh, I'll share my location with you and I'll do all that. And I'm like, okay, here's the difference. A year ago or 6 months ago, you are gone all day. You're busy. I don't hear from you for 8 or 10 hours. I don't worry. I trust you. I don't question shit.
That vase is broken.
Now, once you break trust, you can't get it back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you squeeze all the toothpaste out of a tube of toothpaste, you can't get that shit back in. Okay? Yeah. It's done. It's done. You break the plate, you can glue it back together, but that shit ain't ever going to look the same.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate. It sucks because when you trust somebody, it's like you don't have control over that and they can break that whole thing. And for me, I was like, I don't want to spend my days like that. I don't want to worry about what you're doing or second guess what you're saying. To me, it sucks the fact that you broke that between us, but I don't want to live my life like that. So you can be sorry all you want and do all these things, but I don't want that for me.
Yeah.
I want to be happy. And I also know now I want to be with somebody who gets it from the fucking beginning, who values me, who appreciates me, who respects me from the beginning. Not you had me and you fucked it up.
And now
you walked away and you realize the grass ain't fucking greener on the other side. And now you want to come back and do everything right. I deserve better for me. I deserve how Amanda treats herself. The way I treated you, I'm going to treat me like that. I'm going to love me that way.
Okay, so let's go over a couple of things biologically, right?
Okay.
And evolutionarily, right? Mm-hmm. So men have throughout history had this necessity for sexual variety, and it causes a lot of chaos with a lot of people. And in a lot of cases, men will lie about it. In some cases, men will be completely honest about it, right? And women, on the other hand, have had necessity to find generally not as much sexual variety, but there's some.
But naturally, we're not monogamous creatures.
Okay, so you got to my point. You must have watched my podcast.
Well, no, I haven't, but I know that, and that's what I get with the honesty, and that's what I even told him. I go, it would be all you had to say is very simple.
Okay, so that's exactly where I was going.
I want to see other people. Very fucking different, but instead, you chose to lie. You chose to manipulate me. You chose to fucking gaslight me. You had me in therapy thinking I'm like.
Yeah. Why am I so jealous?
What's wrong with me? And why it's like so, and the smiling in my face and the stories, the length of the fucking lies, they were so believable, the sincerity behind the way he was being with me. I believed him. Like even the girl's like, she's like, why didn't you contact me? I'm like, I trusted my partner.
Yeah.
I believed him. That's how fucking good it was.
Yeah.
And so I think also with dating or looking for a partner, it's like if we were all just fucking honest, like that's fine. There's some people that also, there's some girls out there that want to, taste all the different dicks. Cool. Great.
Taste all the different dicks.
Taste the dick. You want to taste some dicks. Great. Find a partner that wants to, have that type of relationship. I think honesty is what a lot of people struggle with it. It's hard. So it's like finding somebody that has the same values and wants the same things you do. Or, my ex I keep talking about, but it's like he said all the right things, right? He said he wanted those things, but the actions weren't there early on. So it's like just setting boundaries for yourself, realizing where those red flags are, what you want when you're not getting those things versus somebody just feeding you a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Always believe what they're fucking doing.
Yes. They're trying to tell you with their actions. Listen to them.
100%. And it shouldn't be. And that's another thing as I been dating where there was one guy I really liked. Things were going great. And then he started getting confused. And my exact words, and I go, I don't do confused. I don't do confused. That's fine. No hard feelings. But this is where I'm going to, I don't think we need to be dating anymore. Because clearly, like, you're confused about what you're doing, what you want to do, and you're moving away, you're not moving. Like, okay, that's fine.
I don't think he's confused. I think he wanted to put his penis in other women.
Probably.
Yeah. So let's talk about this more specifically, right? Why do you think men lie? I'm gonna give you let me give you a theoretical.
I don't want to just come for men though, because women do this.
Of course.
Shit
So
too.
we'll talk about both genders. So men, for instance, if I want sexual variety, my worst fear is what? You having sexual variety. Do you understand? So I would promise fecundity. I would promise monogamy, and then I would lie and then go have sex with other people. This is a strategy that men, especially high status men, have used for millennia, right? It's one of these situations where like nothing in the world, like for instance, if I have sex with multiple, we'll go back to caveman days, 50,000 years ago. I'm a caveman. I have sex with multiple partners. I have probabilities of offspring from all these women. Now my genetics are now passed on into the next generation. But if I'm having sex with you and there's a possibility of you having sex with someone else, this is where mate guarding comes in. It's a psychological process called mate guarding, where if I have sex with you and there's a possibility of other people, that's why harems were always guarded by eunuchs, right? Because they couldn't have sex with these women. What the worst thing for me is now I'm trying to spread my seed. Now I'm having sex with you. You've already had sex with someone else, and I'm raising someone else's child. And so because of that, this is why men will lie to say, "Hey, we're in a monogamous relationship." While when you go to work, then I cheat on you. Does that make sense? Women will lie for a different reason. This is a fantastic book by Dr. David Buss. He's a former Harvard professor, and he's currently at the University of Texas at Austin. He's an evolutionary psychologist, and he wrote a book that came out a couple months ago called "When Men Behave Badly."
Okay.
And it's about the what's it called? The dualistic or the hypocrisies for both, the double standard for both genders. Okay. And what they talk about is a mate switching strategy, that a mate switching strategy is not plan B for humans. What a lot of people believe is, especially like the church or people in your family, is that monogamy is plan A and mate switching is plan B. The reality of the situation is that human beings were evolved for plan B, the mate switching strategy, because there's no way for you as a Homo sapien female to continue to pass along your genes if you stay with a man who beats you, who is not faithful, who does not provide. And there's no way for me as a Homo sapien male to be able to pass on my genes if I'm with a woman who cannot provide children for me. You see this happen very frequently, where women will go through menopause and their husband will go buy the Corvette and start dating the secretary. It's a trope. It's a meme. It happens so freaking often. And so that's the reason why. I think it's easier for us as people to understand, if we completely understand from an evolutionary standpoint where our motivations come from, and that all of our motivations come from evolution. Once we come to that realization, then you're like, oh, now I understand why you did that. Now I understand why I feel this way. Now I understand why I'm with this guy and I don't appreciate him, or now I understand why this guy's with me and he doesn't appreciate me, because that's the reason why. And there's these studies in there that are absolutely fantastic. One of the studies that I thought was very revealing, having to do with what you're talking about, when women stepped out on their husbands, they were married and they had sex with another man, all of these women, well, the majority of them, like 70%, reported lower satisfaction in the marriage. Men who were married and cheated, men who were married and did not cheat, they reported the exact same satisfaction in the marriage. Generally, when men cheat, it's not because they want to end the relationship. Generally, when women do, it is because they want to end the relationship. That tends to be the end. And so because of that, because men want sexual variety and it means so much less to them, that's the reason why these things happen. And what you said before, I think, is very important. It's not the cheating, it's the lying. The lying is the problem.
Yeah. I'm like, it hurts my feelings you had sex with somebody else. But what hurts me the most is the betrayal. It's the betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, because it's very simple. Hey, I want to see other people. Right? Because I also asked, you know what I mean? I got to a point where I was like, are you sleeping with somebody else? No. Okay.
It's hard. It's hard if you're the one bringing it up. He should be the one bringing it up.
I understand it's a hard conversation, but it's like that saves a lot of wasted time.
Correct.
You know? But, and maybe at that point, because it's also respect for the other person, right? Like, we're all talking about COVID, right? And stuff, which one of the things I brought up and was with everyone that's like going out, or I don't want to do this because of COVID. I'm like, but everybody out here having unprotected fucking sex, like y'all ain't going to get an STD. Because those are things that upset me. I'm like, okay, I want to have a choice. It's my body. We're together in a relationship. We're having sex. Now you're out having sex with other people. You're not using protection. You're coming back and having sex with me.
We're talking about a specific example. Oh shit.
Well,
okay.
I'm just saying, or say hypothetically, yeah, that's my situation.
Damn. All right. Now I understand.
But you know what I mean? I can only speak from my experience.
Of course.
That's fucking anybody. So again, but this is also my opinion and my value. So I'm like, the disrespect you put on my body and my health at fucking risk. Like, I should have a say in that and and know what I'm exposing myself to. You know, if I'm dating and sleeping around, like, I know they're sleeping around. It's like, I know I'm making a fucking choice, but it's my body. I should be allowed to have a say in that. So why do you get to decide for me that you can expose me to fucking whoever? Who's she fucking? And you fucked 10 girls? Who are they all sleeping with? Because now I'm fucking sleeping with them. And I didn't know. I thought I was just sleeping with you.
Right. So now my next question is, that level of honesty is presented to you. How do you react? Is there a possible situation where Amanda is in an somewhat open relationship with a guy, or is that just the end of the relationship?
For me, I know that that's not what I want.
Right.
I've learned from being younger, not somebody that, wanted to be in an open relationship, but I've dated people that didn't do the greatest things. Or let's say they had, things that they partook in that I was like, oh, I could try to like be into that. And
guys who had weird proclivities that you weren't used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or things that we'll just go ahead and put it out there, which I feel like is weird because I do OnlyFans. So some people, I don't know, might be like, you're doing this. So I dated someone, he talked to cam girls and all this, but then it turned into more. It wasn't just cam girls. Like it was.
He talked to them. What do you mean?
No, he's fucking masturbating and
to cam girls while he's dating you.
Yeah. So I found out, but
Okay.
this is before I even knew about that whole world. I mean, I'm like,
right.
I think 20, 21 at the time. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like this, you're giving this girl money. He's like, oh no, it's like a campsite. And like, well, this is how I found out about the whole cam girl fucking world. Yeah. But he was also talking to girls like models on Facebook. Like it didn't just fucking stop there.
Wait, you're currently dating the guy?
No, yeah.
Okay.
No, I was back then.
You're currently dating the dude, and then you find out that he is masturbating to cam girls that he sees online while he's dating you.
Which to me,
there's a lot of very angry men who are listening to what I'm saying right now. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so that was happening.
Yeah.
And being young, that's not something that I was cool with, but I tried to, you know what? He's not cheating on me, and like a lot of men like do stuff like this. So I stayed in the relationship. Obviously, it shit didn't work out. He's not here. He also ended up cheating on me. Yeah, I've had a long string of those. But my point in learning that taught me for my situations when I got older, it's like, if I'm not okay with something, like that's fine. You have your views on it and you think that this isn't wrong. But for me, I don't want somebody that's doing these things.
It's hard out here in these streets, man.
So it's going to be a no for me. So it's
going to be a no for me, dog.
It's going to be a no for me, dog. Thank you. Keep it moving. But it's just like, honestly, here's another great example. Like, you're friends with CJ. She fucking loves titties. Like loves going to the strip club. I hate the strip club.
Really?
I fucking hate it.
Okay.
I have tried in the past with guys. Like it's not.
Because you don't like the way these women are being physically affectionate with your dude?
I guess I've never gone with a partner, but it's just not general, even something I find, like, I feel like some girls like, yeah, I want to go with my man, and like they enjoy like, oh, I want to watch a stripper together, do this together, whatever the fucking case may be. But for me, that's just it's not my thing.
It's really weird. In Vegas and also in Texas, it's a very, very common thing to go on a date with a girl to a strip club.
Yeah.
Because
I've had friends who are like, oh, come on, let's all go. And I'm like, no.
I wouldn't even think twice about it. Every year for my birthday, we would end up at a strip club and the girls are the ones like throwing money at the women. Do you find women attractive in general? I
do. It's just not my thing. I just don't have fun. It's just, I know that I don't like it. So it's like, I've gone, in times, and it's just like,
in Vegas or LA?
I came to one in Vegas. That was the last time I went to. I was on it was for work. It was part of work. So we were on a car rally and they had an event at the strip club, and I was like, I really don't want to go, but I had to go because they're fucking paying me as like part of the group. So it's like, oh, you're part of the host. This is what the group's doing. We're all going to the strip club. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't want to fucking go. Like, I don't have fun.
What is the feel? I'm trying to understand. What is the feeling you get? Like, I personally would not want to go to a male strip club. Personally, I know why. And it has to do with my heterosexuality. It has nothing to do with the girls, because I do think, like, I went to Usher's concert here and he had some strippers, and this girl did some really dope shit on the pole. I was like, holy shit, that's so fucking sexy. Like, I appreciate sexy women. I think it probably triggers something in me with just men and like the shit I've been through, probably because I also know the shit that goes down. It's the same thing I feel like with, I don't know. I don't trust bitches. I don't trust these men sometimes. Like, it's hard out here in these streets, man.
I don't know. I feel like I just don't like it.
It doesn't. So here's the thing. The point I was making before about the evolutionary psychology thing. There's no answer.
I don't know.
The system is broken. Like, in general,
like,
the system is broken.
I get it. I'm just like, we all like different things. Like, you enjoy that and think that's fun. Cool. Great. I also, let's say some of my girlfriends who like I'm going to totally pivot.
Tasting different dicks? Oh, wait, no, we're talking about something different. Sorry.
I was going to say, like, I love action movies and, like, Marvel and shit like that. I have friends that are, like, girlfriends that are like, ew, like, why the fuck do you want to watch this? I don't know. It's, like, a simple, like, you like to go to the strip club and that's fun for you. For me, I'm like, I don't know. I want to do dinner and, like, a lounge. Like, I want to do something different. But I'm also not going to tag along with you while you go out and be, like, a Debbie fucking Downer. I'm just gonna be like, cool, have fun. Like, that's not my scene. I'm not gonna enjoy myself. I don't want to go. Now, I did go. 11's not a strip club though, right?
It is. Sort of.
I went there and I had a fun fucking time.
Yeah, because they play music. It's awesome.
But I think that's why it was like a fucking club, and I don't even think I saw a pair of titties. They're like go-go dancers.
No, there's.
I don't know. Like, I went with my friend Bella. We had a great time.
There's dance floor tables, and they treat it like clubbish.
Yeah, it felt like more like a club, but it's like, I honestly had more fun because I was with my, one of my besties, and we had fun together, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. Got it. Well, that's great. I was going to invite you to a strip club tonight. Now I know better. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I would just be like, I'm going to watch a movie instead.
We're going to go watch a Marvel. Going to watch a Marvel movie. All right. Now, your singing career. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Amanda, I had no fucking idea. And I listened to you and you're really good. And I had no idea. It's very soulful the way you sing.
Thank you.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I've always wanted to be a singer. I've loved music my whole life and singing. I started doing pageants and talent shows and all that when I was 8. So I've always wanted to be a singer. Then, you get older. Modeling took off for me. And I got older and I was like, the music industry is a little fucked, to be honest. But I have recorded a lot of music. Again, made some not great choices with people I worked with. So, I've really learned a lot about the industry as well. Because before it was just, you're this young girl with fucking bright eyes of like, I want to do all these things. And there's like, oh yeah, we can produce some tracks. We'll write for you. And then I just started forking over money. I'm like, wait, what am I paying for? And like, where's the music? And there's a lot of sharks out there, but,
it's such an ambiguous, artistic, unregulated industry.
It is.
You just don't really know.
And there's so much shit about like I've signed agreements with stuff that looking back on it, now that I know more, I'm like, wow, that was fucking stupid.
Well, that's how you hear about rock and roll groups or groups back in the 80s.
Oh, I get it. When people are like, how do they not make music on it?
No money at all.
And I know so many artists that don't make money. So honestly, music has been more a passion of mine. I did a few, songs, but I was always, dependent on somebody else. So dependent on a producer to want to work with me or a writer to have the song and then get the beat and all of those things. So like I was saying with this past year, one of the things during COVID and honestly, because of OnlyFans, like and me doing so well on there, I had time to sit back and I was like, what are the things that I said I wanted to do if money didn't matter? And I was like, I said music. I wanted to do music. So I'm actually learning to play the guitar. I bought 2 guitars. I have an acoustic and an electric. And that reason, because you already heard me say like, I had to wait on somebody to have a track or write me a song. Yeah. So I'm like, cool. I'm going to learn how to do this so that I can create for myself. Because I was thinking back to before I started shooting and even doing sketches and stuff like that. I was like, I taught myself how to shoot photos. I learned how to shoot video. I learned how to edit. I learned how to write a script. I'm like, why can't I do this with a song? Why can't I do this with music? So learning to play the guitar so I can play my own songs so I can write. And then also I was like, cool, I could do this as content creation because a lot of people don't know I can sing.
Right.
And I always felt really dumb going, on social media or trying to create do a cover song. Like everyone plays an instrument, they play the piano or something. I don't play anything. This is weird. And I just honestly felt dumb. So I never did anything like that really. I've done a few small things on TikTok with little challenges, like singing ones, but I was like, cool, this gives me a fun way to create content. But honestly, the biggest thing was it's for me because right now it's not about the money or, I want to be famous. I have all this stuff that I've experienced in my life. I can put it into music. And I feel that music is the one thing that I found that is you get instant gratification for yourself. It is nothing to do with
create something awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for me. Even when I'm sitting learning to play guitar and I sit there because my biggest thing is taking the time to set aside to practice. When I'm in it, I'm so fulfilled and so happy and nothing else matters. And I'm like, that, I feel like in this world, we get so caught up in like making money and I got to create this and I got to do this. It's those things that are for us, we don't do. At least for me, they fall to the bottom of the list. So I'm like, I'm doing this for myself.
I had a similar issue. I had a situation where a relationship did not turn out so well, and then afterwards, but I was doing really well financially. Like I did, and then I remember saying, if money didn't matter to me, what would be the thing I'd want to do? And it was make a motherfucking podcast.
Make a podcast.
And the feeling that you talked about, instant gratification. I love my favorite podcast is probably the one with CJ, and because she's like my sister.
Yeah.
And if she lived here, she'd be my co-host on every episode.
I love CJ.
The thing about it is the satisfaction I got afterwards, and also the fact that Travis and Sticky Paws are here and they make this thing work so well. I didn't care how many people watched the episode. And it did really well. Long form podcasts like this do not get a lot of views on YouTube, but when you have people that will sit around and listen to you for an hour, that's a very powerful group that you have, right? Like it's much more powerful than a 15-second
I feel like
TikTok.
that even with my content creation, like even for social media, when I create those little videos, even if it's only, let's say it was only 10 women that watched it, but those 10 women, right? They're like, oh my God, this touched me in this way. That means so much more to me than, that's why I'll still do that content instead of, I know if I posted a bunch of ass pictures and me with less clothes on, my numbers would go up and I'd get more followers. But honestly, I don't really care. It does nothing for me seeing all the like fire emojis and shit like that. Like, great. Thank you guys for commenting and helping my algorithm.
Fire emojis.
But like, even when I have some guys that reach out to me and just the nice things they say, or even when I was sharing like my daily devotional stuff on my stories, and like, I really needed to hear that. I'm like, this is why I continue to do this.
Yeah.
This is why I do those things. Because it maybe makes a difference for one person or 50 people. Like, but I feel like that's kind of what you were saying. Same with the music, for me.
Well, for me, the other thing was when I watch a lot of other podcasts, it's very much, who are you fucking? How big are your boobs? They have porn stars on there.
I get asked to do a podcast all the time. I'm like, I watch it and I'm like, I don't know.
They go as lascivious, how many dudes have you fucked? And it goes that direction from the beginning, very clickbaity. Yeah. And I was like, I studied astrophysics in college. Fuck you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little different. And then if you don't like it, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And so that's why Joe Rogan doesn't do that, which is why I like Joe Rogan so much. But Joe Rogan also has almost no models on, and he really stays out of like certain industries and very much focuses on biology and science and Navy SEALs and book authors.
I wanted to sorry to cut you off again. I'm like, I keep doing that.
Oh, you can cut me off as much as you want. It's your podcast.
It's actually the Amanda Paris podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah.
One of my favorite sayings, and I heard this a long time ago and I don't remember who said it. Maybe you do. Or maybe it was nobody. I don't know. Maybe it was a random speaker that I saw somewhere. But they were like, if you're not turning someone off, you're not turning someone on. Again, as far as like creating content, I think about that because it does you're not going to make everybody fucking happy. Like you have people like, oh, you're too sexy, you're too this, or you swear too much, or you're too whatever. And it's like, but to some people, you're going to be great. And it's like, you got to even think about the people that are really successful or famous. It's like, oh, they're a complete idiot or a jackass. But it's like, they went hard one way. They were unapologetically themselves. And some people fucking love it. And some people absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to do it for you.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the shortcuts. Like I can't, if I don't want to get into a clickbaity, let's put a really crazy cover photo up there, clickbaity title, and then the whole thing is about sex and all this crazy lascivious shit. Not shout out to Adam22 and No Jumper, they're awesome. But the thing is, a lot of times in those podcast things degrade, really, and they're like, well, that's what people want to hear. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to do a podcast for people who are really curious or really educated, because that's essentially what I wanted to do with this. That's what you
enjoy. I feel like it's also like that with being an influencer, like being in LA, I have a lot of friends that are very successful and big, and it's like collabs are important, but I also have always been, I'm like, I'm past the fake shit. I'm not going to go hang out with so-and-so I can be seen with them, so I can do this. It's like,
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that for the last decade.
There's always been that. And I just could I be bigger? Maybe if I'm not a fake person. And it's so funny about the people that try to comfort me. Like, I'm like,
you know, what's
nah.
crazy? So speaking of what you're speaking about moral hazard, I know women who have never posed nude. First thing they did was guy girl hardcore stuff on OF with some famous couple. I could not believe it when I saw it. But it's like, it's one of these situations where you talk about collabs. There's like a couple that have huge following, and they're literally getting girls who are in relationships, never pose nude, to film hardcore porn with them. First time. Dude, it is mind blowing. The money.
I know some girls that never were like, did nude, like were same category, like implied, sexy. And then now I'm like, oh, you're full on doing fucking porn now. And I think too, I've seen girls like kind of lose themselves in it. You know what I mean? Like
no judgment. But you are making, but it is a short-term decision that is going to affect you can't undo porn, right? You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, whoa, okay, cool. I mean, that's your comfort level. That's fine.
So I'm starting to think it's going to go the opposite way. We think everyone's going to start doing this. Like, I really do. There's a part of me that really thinks that.
I know another girl, I feel so bad for her because it was beginning COVID and they were very successful. Her and her husband were doing it, and then it got edgier and edgier and edgier, and then they started doing that. Now they're not even together.
Oh yeah, that was another thing.
And it was him pushing that whole fucking thing along.
Yeah.
And now she's like stuck in, like, what do I do?
Well, she's stuck in a weird place because now she has to find.
And she was even like, I was never fucking okay with it. Yeah. I didn't want to fucking do this, but it's my fucking husband. I'm just like, holy shit.
Think about a woman in that situation. Let's just say she's making $200,000 a month on OF filming guy girl porn. Her and her husband split up. She has these weird economic conundrums. Number one, if I go back and just film with my husband, I am going back into this toxic relationship that I've ended, but the money is, the drop off in money was so significant I have to do it. Or two, I literally have to find another guy to date specifically so that I can film porn with him. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For no other reason. Like what? Like a couple, $10,000, a month. That's a decision. That's a quandary. $200,000 a month is a life-changing situation money. To where like, now do I put love on the back burner? And then the other problem is this: I already did porn. You know the hardest porn to do is the first one. You know what the easiest porn to do with? All the ones after that, right? Yeah. So now that you have that situation too, and this moral quandary I have seen happen over and over again. And again, I am not dissuading women from doing this. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, fucking teach their own.
But the problem is, again, you'll have a couple making videos together, then they split up, and one of them wants to take it down, or the division of the footage is not equitable, or the amount of money is not equitable, and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, you hate your ex and you're literally messaging him, hey, can you send us that video that we did in the car of like so and so? And it takes you back to these fucking horrible places. And I've seen this. I even wonder
that even if you take OnlyFans aside of it, like some big couples that are popular on social media platforms that we've seen end and get back together, and I question it sometimes. I'm like, is that real?
Yeah.
Or is that a business decision? Because that sucks.
Yeah.
You know? Sucks. It's one thing I used to really want a partner to build with on platforms, and I would look at a lot of those couples and I'm like, oh, I want to be like them. But then I've seen these relationships fall apart and I'm like, oh fuck, thank God. I mean, that sucks they're going through that. I want to not trying to talk bad about anybody, but I'm just like, fuck, that sucks. And that's hard. But
there is a monetary trade-off. Like when you think about some of these corrupt bankers back in the 2008 financial crisis, like how corrupt would you be for $200 million? You might be pretty motherfucking corrupt. Oh, like all these people are going to talk shit about me, but I have $300 million from a golden parachute as soon as I fucked up this company. Like at some point, people will sell out, whatever morals that they have, especially if you don't have a lot to begin with. And now OnlyFans is it's like the devil. Just keep holding that bag of gold right there in front of your fucking face over and over again.
Oh yeah.
And you see it. And again, not trying to judge there, because I know some women, the opposite is true. They were in a horrible situation where they're being extorted or they were being trafficked, and they were able to go on OnlyFans, make their own money, and get out of that situation. Right. So that it also definitely does some good, but it is just this really weird conundrum that we're in where we just don't really know what's real anymore. And the social media and YouTube in particular, one of the reasons why I got into podcasting specifically is because I liked more of an intellectual long form explanation of things. Yeah. Whereas when I see these clips, a lot of podcasters on YouTube will put out like 1 or 2 minute clips of something crazy that the girl said. You see, I don't know if you saw this. Travis Black China walked out on Adam 22 when he was doing a podcast. The thing
I
got
don't even
like
know who this guy is.
So Adam 22 runs No Jumper. It's one of the big. It's a really big podcast, and he's really good. By the way, I'm just saying that some of he just has a lot of porn stars on his show. Anyway, Black China walks out, and it was just one of these really weird things where it was like she was acting like she's better than him, literally giving him clout on the show. He's actually more famous than she is. And now we're in a situation where this girl is just walking. It's like, you know what? I'm not feeling this, because they were asking questions, because she used to date Soulja Boy. Like literally the most significant thing about this woman is that she used to date another rapper, and she's acting like she's bigger than him. She gets up, she goes, I don't feel it. She walks out, and he's like, really, for real? And then they post that on YouTube, and it gets more hits than anything. You know what I'm saying? It's one of these funny things.
Oh, that's great content.
It is. So there's both forms of content. The short form, very catchy, quick TikTok type of content is really good. And then to me, the highest form of content to me is like documentaries, stuff like Web Circle or Joe Rogan or something like that, or National Geographic. That's the highest form to me personally. I like both forms, and I think that there's there's a conundrum a lot of times where, which side do you want to get in, but you know that the short form content is quicker, it's faster. And, Vine for a while, dude, 6-second videos.
Oh, I struggled with that a lot with my comedy content, because I was doing a lot of scripted, comedy videos. And originally when I got into it, it was all improv and it was shorter videos, right? And then I got into more produced content. And as I appreciate it, because I learned a lot, and that's how I also learned like shooting and character development and writing and all of that. But my numbers went way down.
Yeah.
So people didn't appreciate it as much, but I got a lot of respect in the industry from it.
So anyway, anyone who's watching this, before I sell out, right now I'm going to try to make these intellectual, but I'm pretty sure later on it's like, we're having a clown on today and he's going to set himself on fire. Like, what? I don't know.
Oh, that's a thumbnail.
Yeah.
Amanda Paris takes her top off on the podcast.
On the podcast right now. Like, you can check it out. Amanda Paris talks about crazy shit she did on OnlyFans. So they're just like, what?
And then they watch it and they're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck was this?
I hate when I see people do that on videos.
It is crazy, but you understand from my standpoint, think about Lance Armstrong, right? Lance Armstrong used performance enhancing drugs, but so did everyone else in the Tour de France. If Lance Armstrong does not use performance enhancing drugs, you never heard of Lance Armstrong. He's just some cyclist who lived in Austin. That's all you ever heard about, right? And so now it's one of these situations, FaceApp, the pics, clickbait, right? Catchy titles, cover photos that are like super lascivious, right? Showing.
I'm always trying to my cover photos, my time. Oh my God.
Leading with boobs or butts, right? All this kind of stuff. And then it's just like very clickbaity. And then you look at it from a situation, it's like, what do you do? Are you going to be the only girl who's not using FaceApp? Are you going to be the only guy who's like not taking roids? Like what are you supposed to do? And it creates this incredible moral quandary where you're not really sure what to do.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard out here in these streets. You have a single coming up.
I do. It's actually coming out today. So make sure you guys go and stream it. It's called Castles in the Sand.
Okay. Today, October 13th.
Yes.
It is coming out. It's called Castles in the Sand.
Yes.
It's a single.
It's a single.
Okay.
I'm dropping the video today as well, so you guys can go watch that on my YouTube.
That's awesome. Did you film it yourself?
No, I had a team film it. Dustin Poteet actually was the director on this music video, so we put our heads together. I wanted to come up with something. I didn't want to tell the story in a way that, you get like, oh, broken heart, couple fights, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I really want to be able to escape into something very creative and use metaphors to explain the story and do something cool visually. And I think we accomplished that. So I'm really proud of it. And I think the song came out beautifully. I love what we created.
I heard it. I heard, not that, but I heard
you didn't hear that. You did
I heard some other things you were singing, and I was like, I did not know this girl sung like this. This is very good. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I know I forget, because obviously I've done it my whole life, and anyone who is around me a lot knows that I sing, because I never stop. I'm always singing my head off. I'm like, it's probably annoying, but they say it's not. But anyway, when people tell my close friends, will tell me that, oh, I didn't know you sang. And I'm like, how did you not know I sing? But it's not, when you look at my social media, it's not on there, because like I had a song in 2012, did a song in 2018. Now it's 2021. We have another song. But I actually have two coming out. I did another song with my friend SMG Jimmy. So we're shooting that music video in a couple of weeks, actually. Okay. Very exciting.
What was the ethos for it? Like, what was the origin for you to decide this particular song?
Castles in the Sand?
Yeah.
So I went through a really bad breakup.
That's where I was getting at. Keep going.
Yes, I went through a really bad breakup, and I was writing and journaling a lot, and I wanted an outlet for that pain. So I wanted to write a song. I wanted to do a ballad. My last track was more of a dance track. So, I contacted one of my friends, Justin Bush. He's my co-writer on this track. And I told him my ideas, and we came up with this song. And yeah.
It's better than therapy, right? Somebody told me to go to therapy. I said, fuck that. I'm starting a podcast. And the same thing with you. You're not going to therapy.
I did therapy. I'm not in therapy anymore.
Yeah, let's write a song.
But I love it. I showed the video to one of my best friends, and she cried, and I was like, oh. Like, it's so, that stuff touches me because I'm like, oh, it made somebody feel something.
Yeah.
But even when she listened to it, she's like, it made me so sad to hear this song because you were so hurt.
Yeah.
And like, it came from a really real place.
Isn't it crazy when now the private lives of some of these musical artists, and when they're singing about people, who they're singing about, right? Rihanna or Chris Brown or what is it, MGK, and who's he dating? What's her face? I can't remember the girl's name. She wrote the song about the dude she was dating. Halsey. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but like that, you kind of know where the origin of these stories come from.
Yeah.
Like, damn, man, that's mess. Or Beyonce talking about Jay-Z cheating on her, right? We knew what the origin of the story is. And so when it comes from a real place, that makes it something real.
Too, it's stuff people can relate to, because I feel like we always think that sometimes we feel we're alone or nobody else has felt these things. But the more you start talking to people, you realize, they've maybe haven't been through the exact same thing, but something similar or felt those feelings. So it's very relatable. And I love music. I think music's so powerful, and it has the ability to, if you've ever thrown on like an old song, it can just literally take you back in time to a certain moment or feeling. And I just love that. So yeah, I wanted to create for me, and that's how the song came about, was through some bad shit.
Wild. Well, we're so happy. I'm finally glad I got Amanda to come out here, and hopefully we can get her to move to Las Vegas.
So are you gonna pay me afterwards?
Pay you afterwards? No, what are you talking about? Where's the money, Travis? Is it in the other room? Yeah, let's go. I'll bring it over here in just a little bit. So really happy we had Amanda Paris on here. Like I said before, I want to stimulate curiosity. I know some cases we're gonna have doctors, we're gonna have flat earthers. Some cases we're gonna have lawyers, we're gonna have real estate agents. In some cases we're gonna have playmates, we're gonna have models. We will probably have adult actresses on here. We're gonna have social media celebrities, all kinds of people. And I wanted to expose you guys to a common thread, and that is that we all have a common human story. We came from someone, and we overcame something, no matter what it is, no matter whether the thing was, maybe anything from bankruptcy to sexual assault to any of those things. And then we kind of find this commonality, and we stop fucking judging each other, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this. A lot of the most judgmental, or the people I see judged the most, are women that pose or wear, bikinis or whatever on social media. The belief is, because I hear the comments you guys make.
That was one of the things I was going to say earlier. I remember, because I've had people, women that want to say things like, oh, well, OnlyFans is porn. I'm like, it's not just porn. Like, you don't have to be naked on there. But I'm like, if you could sit at home and make the money that I make,
you do the same thing.
Shooting these pictures that girls post this shit on Instagram for free, you would be doing it too. So the reality is you're just jealous or insecure. We're like, you would be fucking doing it too. Anybody would be doing this. Like, I'm getting my bag.
Go get that bag. Hashtag go get that bag.
Unapologetically getting my bag.
Getting that bag. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make, and again, I love this Denzel Washington quote. People who are doing better than you are never talking shit about you. It's always people that are doing worse. So now you ask yourself a question when you have some comment that you want to make anonymously about Amanda Paris or Talia Paris or just CJ Sparks, or if you want to make it about the gentleman Rocky Jeddick who came in here the other day talking about vaccines, or if you want to Lieutenant Adam Butel, the FAT Sartain pilot that we had come in here. If you guys have anything that you want to say about these people, ask yourself, am I criticizing them because I'm doing better than them or because I'm doing worse? And so that's the thing that you need to ask yourself. And what I want to do is create an environment where there's no judgment and we can have free thought and talk about these things in a Socratic way. And then if we disagree with each other, which there's very little I disagree with you on, we don't fucking hate each other. That's the issue that I'm trying to go for. Yeah. Because hate, you know what it gets? It gets a lot of fucking views on YouTube if you hate. But let's try to skip that and try a different thing. I can't compete with those guys anyway, right? I'm never going to make the crazy clickbaity shit. But I will do this.
When I see some of the crazy, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try to read 40, 50 books this year, and I'm going to try to bring some of that knowledge that I have to this podcast. And hopefully you guys appreciate what we were able to do. Make sure you check out her single on October 13th. That is today, the day that should be
stream it, download it, tag me. Tell me what you guys think. You love it, hate it, I don't care.
Tag it.
I want to hear all the things.
For sure. She's like, you want to hate me?
I've had some people.
Go ahead and write that
I posted a YouTube video of a vlog from when I was recording my song with Jimmy. And I was like, a title like, should we release this? And some people are like, oh my God, yes, I love it. But a lot of people are like, oh, it sucks. Like they need it. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
We all can't like the same things.
For sure.
We all don't like the same genre of music. We don't like the same artists. We don't like the same movies. That's fine. But thank you for watching and taking the time to comment.
For sure. Yes. Awesome. All right, guys. Make sure you subscribe to me on OnlyFans. I'm just kidding. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe on Spotify. Make sure you guys subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you go to her YouTube channel and check it out. It's really interesting stuff. You see her with Lenny Marie, our homie Lenny Marie, doing a lot of different stuff. And then you've gotten into photography recently also. Yeah,
I've been shooting for a while. I finally just started posting about it because I was mainly just shooting my friends. I was like, I guess I could actually start showing that I actually do this.
Shooting attractive women. Shut the fuck up. That's crazy.
I know. I was like, actually, you need some sexy photos. You don't want a creepy guy taking your picture. How about a creepy girl? I'm kidding.
How about a creepy girl?
I'll be the creepy girl with camera.
# creepy girl. Love that. All right, guys. We will see you all next week. We have some exciting stuff coming up, man. I really do appreciate your support. The messages that I get from some people. I will tell you this, Amanda, one of the craziest things that's been happening to me is I walk around because I wear the same shit all the time.
Black t-shirt. I forgot I was supposed to wear a black t-shirt.
Yeah. And my hair is always the same. So I go to a nightclub, I'll go to the store, and people just recognize me. And they'll come up to me, and I always think they're about to say some mean shit to me. And they're always like, yeah, I love your podcast. I'm like, what the fuck? Like
That's so fucking cool.
It always blows me away. Like I was at a nightclub the other day, and the GM walks up to me, never spoken to this guy a day in my life. He goes, hey, I love your podcast.
I love it. One of the highlights from me hosting last weekend at Sapphire, there was a guy there who's one of my followers. But I love when people, actually enjoy what I create. And he was like, you're so fucking funny. I love your skits. Yes. And but it wasn't, you're hot, you got nice tits and ass, whatever. He enjoyed my fucking content that I created and thought I was funny. And I'm like, I am really funny, but thank you.
Well, now you guys know how to get out of Amanda Paris. She's giving you it's hard out here in these streets. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks again, guys, at Sticky Paws. Man, I cannot say enough to how much Travis and John
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why are their paws sticky?
Why are their paws sticky? Travis?
My partner John has a cat named Mocha, and Mocha has
sticky paws.
Everything she steps on just sticks to her paws because of her nails or whatever, and that's the origin story of Sticky Paws Studios.
There you go.
I love it.
There you go. Well, guys, if you want to be a part of the Alpha podcast studio in Clark County, you need to come out here to Sticky Paws Studios and definitely film something with us. Again, guys, next week we're going to have more content coming for you. Please participate. Let me know what you think. We really appreciate this. The guests really appreciate that. Make sure you follow Amanda Paris on Instagram as well, and we will see you guys next week.